What is up? What's going on, good people? What is going on, good people? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And I'm just realizing I still have I's I haven't dotted and T's I haven't crossed. But it don't matter. The show must go on. Definitely gonna have another good one for you today. Another good one for you today. So shout out to everybody coming on in. Make sure I just hit the like button myself. Make sure you hit the like button as you come on in, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. I greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button. Oh yeah, I got none of my stuff set up right today, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. Struggle streaming already. Struggle streaming already. Hold on. Shout out to each and every one of you. Do appreciate being in the building. One more I to dot and one more T to cross. And then we gonna roll the intro. All right. We in here. All right. I see y'all in here. Y'all in here deep. Y'all came through ready to go. All right. So let me get it started. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
All right. What is going on? Shout out to everybody in the building. I have no idea what kind of scrambling I had to do to get things started here today. I have no idea. But shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to RM. Do appreciate you coming on through as usual. Do appreciate you. And she says, hit the like button on the way in. Definitely make sure you do that. Shout out to Dark Knight Mentality. I know I like to shout out the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started. Do appreciate each and every one of you. Captain Cisco in the building. Shout out to you. Space Kitchen in the building says, let's go. Hood Conservative in the building says the ground is shifting. Yes, it is. The needle is moving, and I like that. SKC says new intro time. Yeah, it's a possibility. We was talking about that. I think it's time. But we'll see. Says morning BR in chat and Ghost Watchers and SKC. Are you referring to the pre-record that I dropped this morning? That, it happened about 10 days ago. Hope Gazelle, the trans woman, a trans gentleman, as a lot of people affectionately was calling Hope. Um, yeah, just pull it up on Mr. Let Go. I believe he was doing a live stream in Hope Gazelle, the trans woman uh, who basically pulled the fast one on Umar. Just seeped right into the conversation. It's like, okay, listen. I'm not saying they don't have the right to exist. Because that's what they always, whenever you criticize anything they do, you're saying I don't have the right to exist. that's that's what I was just recently looking at a video where that happened. As soon as somebody gave a critique, you saying I don't have right to exist. Like that's exactly where they went. But no, it's it's an interesting development that I'm preemptively calling out, that they don't pass as well in real life. They don't pass as well in real life. There's actually a video of Hope Gazelle giving a speech somewhere, and she's just full standing up. Don't look at those Photoshop pictures, because you got some Photoshop pictures. Well, I don't know if they Photoshop. All I know is there's a video of her giving a speech where she's standing up, walking, and you could just see you could just see them, you could see them shoulders. It was like, ooh, boom. It was just, I mean, it was looking like a dude with some big ass breast implants standing up there talking, giving a speech. Is like, he's also, they don't pass in person. But I think the new wave, that's happening is that they are trying to pass online in male spaces. They're just creeping in, did up, probably got a probably got a video filter on, but those are tricky. Or with this whole avatar game, they're probably coming in behind avatars, just hopping in the conversation, popping off, just trying to see if they can just join the male female relationship or social dynamics between black men and black women conversations. They just trying to see if they can just creep into that conversation unnoticed, undetected, and then even do it with the camera on here and there. Do it with the camera on, see if anybody notice. And they got dudes just engaging in deep conversations with them. Engaging in the deepest of conversations. I'm like, oh, she got Umar. And then he got, forgive me, because I'm just going to keep messing up the she and the he thing. But he got Umar. He got Mr. Let Go. I'm like, who next? Somebody else going to get got. But shout out to Black Wizard. Says, do I still have a wrench? You should. You should. No, Black Wizard. If you ever lose your wrench, it'll probably be random, because you're definitely an on point brother. Whenever you ain't been here in a while, but whenever you're here, you normally say something insightful. I've actually done whole shows based off something that you've super chatted before. So yeah, you're definitely a valued member of the team here. But shout out to Hood Conservative again. Shout out to Winthrop. Shout out to says hopeless creatures gotta stop. Bernard, you got a fresh cut? No, I actually need to get lined up. Need to line. I cut my own hair. I can stand to line it up. No, I'm damn near due for. No, it ain't fresh. The waves is probably a little extra shine. Put a little extra grease on them. That's all. Put a little extra grease on my waves. They a little shiny. That's all. But shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to each and every one of you. Do appreciate y'all coming on through. Also, okay. First off, before I get started, let me put my phone on vibrate. But shout out to Robert J. Carmichael, who sent a $20 cash app. And because we got cash apps, one that cash app was yesterday when I dropped a pre-record yesterday. He sent a $20 cash app when it was on, so I do want to acknowledge him for that. He'll count, that'll count towards today. And we also got, who else we got? We got Marlon B with a $10 cash app. Do appreciate that. And Perry with a $5 cash app. Appreciate you brothers coming through on the cash app end. Appreciate you brothers coming through on the cash app end. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Almost 10 people. I mean, almost. Well, no. Oh, well, 140 people in here. 140 people in here. I don't know why I said 10, but 140 people in here. Shout out to everybody in the building. Number of things about to get into. About to get into the main topic when I'm talking about the Ice Cube effect. An article was essentially written where they, shout out to Robert J. Carmichael down there. Shout out to you. I do appreciate you dropping that cash app when I dropped the pre-record yesterday. Shout out to Tan saying hit the like button. Yes. So an article was written. The article was written about essentially the situation going on in, oh shoot, now I'm forgetting exactly where. Basically, black men. It's in California. Well, I don't know what this was. It was written in the L.A. Times, but yeah, the L.A. Mayoral race. I can't say that word ever. The L.A. race for mayor. Okay, black woman running by the name of Bass. Then someone else is running named Caruso, who's not black. Who's male and not black. And they are shocked, I tell you, shocked that the black men at like a 50% rate are not voting for Bass, who's black, they mama's black. The polls are showing that they ain't going. They not going, and they're very confused about this. Sort of the same thing that was going on with Stacey Abrams. So what's happening with Stacey Abrams is happening in other pockets as well. What's happening with Stacey Abrams is happening with other pockets as well. And they're calling it the Ice Cube effect. They actually called it that in the article. We're going to be getting into that, going to be reading that article, going to be breaking that down. So that should be pretty interesting. Should be pretty interesting. The other thing that's going on, hold on, let me take a sip. I have no idea how this is going to taste. Oh, not bad. Had a weird, I thought I muted that. Had a weird after kick. He says vote against black women. You know, the space kind of got criticized for that. By a lot of people in the space. We're saying that y'all not voting for somebody, y'all voting against black women. I didn't run away from that. I know who conservative don't run away from that. Vote against black women. It's so crazy it just might work. No, I think the goal is to shake things up. So just like what was unearthed when Ice Cube was talking to the women on Fox Soul, and they talked about themselves as a completely separate demographic. No. We want our own separate stuff. We want our own separate thing. And we want our own separate thing. We want y'all to get in line behind our own separate thing. You know, we add the new wrinkles to it. That's essentially what's going on. That's essentially what it's about. And a lot of black men are essentially saying that no, we're going to go the other way. We're going to do something else. We're going to operate in our own best interest. And I think we're at the early stages in the ground floor of even establishing what our own best interest is. Like in a show I did last Saturday with Conservative, I said a part of the uphill battle to fight to climb is to even convince black men of certain things, like how illegal immigration is really not a good thing for us. You know, we've had to break that down. We've had to explain that there's so many things that we're at the early stages of really just laying out and charting the course of the best interest. But right now, as we know it, there's no such thing as just voting Democrat under the assumption that voting Democrat is our best interest. Now, I did reach across the aisle, so to speak, and say if something is being put out there by a Democrat in your local elections and it's something that's beneficial that you think will benefit you or will benefit black men, yeah, vote for it. I've said that. But in general, just getting in line behind black women, like the woman on MSNBC said, nationally syndicated news, literally told black men, get in line, just talk to black men like they were boys in front of the world, basically. Get in line behind your women. And then juxtapose that with this statement right here. I started out talking about Hope, how she pulled up on Mr. Let Go, and Mr. Let Go just had the whole damn conversation with her about male female social dynamics, talking about birthing children and the woman's role and all of that. He just had the whole conversation with her. But speaking of her, black men voting Democrat is really like this.
When women want things, especially when Black women want things, we get up, we say something, we talk about it, and we're going to talk about it till we're blue in the face and until we get those things done. A lot of the times what I find is that Black men think that they can ride off of those things, and then when things come to pass and they're not put into the game plan, then you're upset. Then it's like, oh, well, we thought we were going to, why? You did none of the work. You sat behind me and you watched me rally and you watched me do all of these things, and then you thought you were going to benefit from it. And I'm sorry that I left you off, but honestly, when I was doing this work, it was hard to consider you.
Yeah. She had the balls to say what a lot of them don't say that bluntly, but they basically be saying that. We just need your vote. Don't think you're going to benefit from this. Don't think you're going to get anything from this. We're going to get benefit, and you're just going to reap the benefit from us reaping the benefit, but you're really not. It's like that's what it is. That's what it is. And I think black men more than anything are figuring that out. Another thing that I got going on, before I dig all the way into the main topic and start talking about what they're calling the ice cube effect, because she has balls. That was metaphoric and literal. That was metaphoric and literal when I said she had the balls to say it. Always bear in mind, fellas, most of them don't get the surgery. So don't fool yourself. When they start trying to smuggle their way into these conversations and don't announce themselves, they just try to get at the right angle with the right light and then try to, present like a woman and be in these conversations online in male spaces. Don't get it twisted. You're talking to someone with testicles. Like, don't get it. Most of them don't get the surgery. They put on the dress and put on the wig and then tell you what they are. That's that's what it is. That's what it is. But make sure y'all hit the like button. Before I get all the way into the main topic, another thing that's going on is I did a video. Well, I just took a clip from a previous video that was titled the what was it called? The unhostile takeover of ESPN. That one is actually doing good. It's actually still picking up more views. It's trending. It's trending pretty well. But in that video, it was to the larger live stream that I did when I was talking about Malika Andrews. When I was talking about Malika Andrews and her trying to G-check or mommy Stephen A. Smith, her trying to do all of that stuff. It really went, hold on. Hope Gazelle and Shabri Rawls are going to have a new show on Fox. Man, gone. I clicked on that without even reading. See, SKC, I trust your comments enough to where I can click on them without reading them. I need to stop doing that. But no, that don't you will that into existence. Even though I know, see, this how messed up SKC is. When I hear about something like that, I'm like, oh hell no, I hope that don't happen. SKC is like, yes. SKC is like, excellent. he want that to happen. That's gonna be SKC's favorite show. If Hope Gazelle and the crazy therapist Shabri Rawls get their own show on Fox Soul, that is going to be SKC's favorite show, hands down. He won't miss a minute of that. He won't miss a minute of that show, I guarantee. But no, see it. The whole thing with Malika Andrews, the whole thing that's going on with Malika Andrews, it's layers to that. How they more or less like just rushed her, up. Like she just came out of nowhere and she got to be the sideline person in the bubble. She got to be the the what do they call it? Yeah, the hold on. Yeah, the sideline reporter in the bubble. That she got to be the sideline reporter in the bubble out of no damn where. Out of no goddamn where. Nobody knew who she was. She was just a sideline reporter in the bubble. Then after that, she was hosting NBA Today. Got her own show on ESPN. She got Pull Power Rank, be cutting men off, dropping them down, just running, just cutting up. Just cutting up. She got all this damn controversy, and after she had all that controversy, disrespected black men. Now she's going to be basically hosting the NBA draft. And so I'm trying to develop, trying to figure out why are they letting her just run roughshod like that. I mean, she ain't even like Sage. Damn, what's the chick name? I'm so bad at remembering names. Rachel Nichols, Sage Steele. She ain't like Sage Steele, a vet, been there forever. There's just some new chick. There's just some new chick on the block where they just letting run the whole thing. I got a theory. And go with me on this one. Go down this rabbit hole with me. I got a theory about Malika Andrews. She, like I said, she was the sideline reporter in the bubble. Okay, hear me out. It's shaky evidence for this theory, but let's just go down the rabbit hole with me. In the bubble, that was when, COVID was alive and well, and they had finished most of the NBA season. COVID happened, then they had to cut the season short. They had to basically just end the season. But they were like, man, if we can't crown a champion for 2020, that's going to be a tragedy. So they said, you know what? We're going to do something. We're going to get everybody tested, and then we're going to quarantine them in a facility. We're going to call it the bubble. Once we get everybody in, nobody in. And once everybody's in, nobody out. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. You can go out when your team get eliminated. But other than that, we are in this facility with these basketball courts and these essentially hotel rooms. Everybody just packed in there. 16 NBA teams. And the camera crew, and anybody who worked. It was no fans. It was basically anybody who works behind the scenes. Anybody who works behind the scenes. Now these NBA players are locked and trapped in there. Okay, 2-3 months locked in there. A lot of y'all know, if you remember the reporting back then, some of the NBA players, they was trying to smuggle in some pussy. Okay, they was trying to smuggle in some pussy into the bubble. Because they couldn't leave, couldn't nobody come in. They were sneaking chicks in through the side door until they got caught. They got caught early on. So that was the situation. That was the situation. Nobody in, nobody out. Now, 2-3 months. Now, keep in mind, regular men like us regular guys, we can go on a 2-3 month drought and we'll be okay. It's rough, but we get through it. We soldier on forward, NBA players can't do that. They can't go on droughts like that. So they're stuck there at the bubble. Nobody there but old, the old sports writers and journalists, the cameraman and this or that, and the coaching staff and the trainers, and that's the only people that was there. The only hot piece of ass that was walking around there in the bubble was Malika Andrews. She was the hottest piece of ass and really the only piece of ass in the whole goddamn bubble. 16 NBA teams, 15 people for a team. Everybody in that goddamn bubble was shooting they shot. Something vicious. They was pulling up from full court, pulling up from half court, shooting they shot. Everybody. Wherever her room was at, you already know. The NBA players got to go 2-3 months without getting no ass. And Malika Andrews walking around there. They was gunning for her. That Malika Andrews could put a sexual harassment Me Too case on the whole goddamn NBA if she wanted to. On the whole goddamn NBA. She came out of that bubble like Denzel Washington at the end of Training Day. I put cases on all you niggas. Y'all be playing basketball at Pelican Bay when I'm done with you. Like, she came out of there like that. And so that's my theory as to why they just let her do what the hell she want to do. Gave her the job hosting not inside the NBA, but NBA Today. They just gave her that job. She talking shit to people. What they gonna do? What are they going to do to Malika Andrews when she could bring the whole damn league down if she wanted to? She could bring the whole damn league down. Like, they was in there aggressively going at her. They was in that bubble aggressively going at her. Had to be. And I don't know this. I can't confirm this. Somebody told me that back during that time, there was some reports of, her, messing around with some players or whatever. But regardless, even if she gave LeBron some pussy, that's J.R. Smith and everybody else was still shooting a shot aggressively. So that's where I'm at with that one. That is my theory. She would literally, like, if she told everything that happened in that bubble with all 16 of those teams and all those NBA players being forced to go on a 2-month drought, nobody in, nobody out, and ain't nobody in there but NBA players, a few reporters, cameramen, trainers, coaches. Those are the only people in there. The only thing in there was only hot piece of ass in there was Malika Andrews and like 160 NBA players. 160 to 1. She could put a sexual harassment case on the whole goddamn league. She could put a sexual, you saying if she did, it was consensual. Oh yeah. If she gave somebody some pussy in there, yeah, it was consensual. But that don't mean that don't stop the other damn near 200 guys from aggressively shooting a shot. All I'm saying, rather her claims are legitimate or not. She's stuck in a bubble, nobody in, nobody out. She can say she felt harassed. She could say she felt like they were, that they were doing something. She could fabricate. She can embellish a little bit. She could write a whole damn book called Surviving the Bubble. Like, that's why they can't say shit to her. That's why they can't say shit to her. That's my theory. That is my theory. It's an interesting theory, but I doubt that bubble was closed. Yeah, it was. They let people in and out as they saw fit. No, they didn't. Think about it. They had to stop the NBA season in the middle of a game. Well, no, at the opening tip-off. Somebody had to run out. The referee had to run out there and say, everybody separate, walk your separate ways, get the hell out of here. Like, COVID was alive and well. When they had that bubble going on, their whole goal was to get everybody in there that didn't have it and not let nobody in there and not let nobody leave. That was what they tried to do. Now, the facility, was it side doors where you could sneak in somebody? Yeah. Was there like big important people in there that could bend the rules a little bit? Yeah, I'll say that. But was it just a free for all? Like, they literally had to spend millions upon millions of dollars to get this to make the NBA playoffs happen. I don't think that they just willy-nilly just, if that's the case, they wouldn't even have to have a bubble if they were just letting everybody just come and go as they please. No, they had a bubble because they wanted to make sure that they had everybody quarantined who didn't have the Rona, and then go ahead and finish the NBA playoffs. That's what they did. He said the bubble was the best time of my. Hey, that almost went over my head. For those that don't know, Jason Collins is the NBA player, 7 foot tall NBA center, who I think his last year in the league, I think right after he retired, or towards the end of the season, he announced that he was gay. Now, I don't think there's ever been an openly gay player in the NBA who just full blown openly look at the camera and said, "I'm gay." That I don't think that hasn't happened. But he announced it like right after he retired. He announced it. He was retired before the bubble, but I guarantee Jason Collins would have tried to enjoy. He would have enjoyed the bubble. He would have. Maybe not as much as Malika Andrews, but no. Yeah, that that's my theory. That's my theory on that bubble. And Malika Andrews, how she just got rushed to the front of the line. Sage Steele, Rachel Nichols, all y'all. No, we got to push all y'all back. This at the time 25-year-old, you know, aka aka who just got done stepping. No. She is basically about to run a portion of ESPN. She had cases on everybody in the bubble. But all right, that's my theory I wanted to run by y'all before I got into the main topic. That's my theory I wanted to run by y'all before I got into the main topic. But let's go ahead and get into this. And wait, before I get all the way into this, let me bring this up. Let me bring this on up because this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Interesting developments. Interesting developments. But before I get all the way into it, shout out to Ryan Decipher. He says they can call it the Ice Cube effect. I'm calling it the awakening. Yeah, definitely. Right on. I'm with that. But shout out to you for dropping the $20 on it. Shout out to you for dropping the $20 on it. Q Denzel training day. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. Appreciate Ryan Decipher. I'm sitting here watching the chat, trying to see what y'all talking about in the chat room. Trying to see what y'all talking about in the chat room. All right. Let's get into this. 330 people in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button. All right. Column. These black men say they'll vote for Caruso, not Bass. Bass is this black woman pictured here. And yeah, they ain't going. He said they'll vote for Caruso, not Bass. Is it the Ice Cube effect? They're calling it the Ice Cube effect. Representative Karen Bass, a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, stands among supporters and volunteers at the opening of her campaign headquarters on LA Brea Avenue in April. All right. In retrospect, I missed the first sign that LA mayoral candidate Representative Karen Bass might have trouble hanging on to support from black men. They saying that they miss the signs. It came in the middle of May when legendary Long Beach rapper Snoop Dogg decided to reach out to her main opponent, the billionaire developer, former Republican Rick Caruso. He's a former Republican, so this isn't a black man voting Republican thing, but it's it's a black man voting against black women thing. I'm just playing, but not really. But Rick Caruso and offer up his endorsement. So Snoop Dogg endorsed Caruso. Says, "You got my support," he told Caruso over Zoom. And then I don't think it was over Zoom. I think it was in person, and Snoop shared a blunt with him. They passed the blunt back and forth, puff, puff, pass, and Snoop was like, "You got my support." That's how I think it went. I don't think it was over Zoom like they're saying in the article. I don't think it was over Zoom. I don't. They definitely shared a joint together. Definitely. TV news cameras documenting the exchange were a part. Said we are a part of whatever you're a part of. That's what Snoop is saying as far as bringing love to the community. Because Snoop is all about love for the community. A few days later, there was another sign. I missed that one too. Clarence Avant, the revered music industry mogul who introduced then Senator Barack Obama to Southern California political and entertainment circles, also endorsed Caruso, the 91-year-old whose wife Jacqueline was murdered last year during an invasion in their Beverly Hills home, left it to the candidate to break the news. I am humbled and grateful to have support, Caruso told the Times. So one thing to point out here, one thing worth pointing out here, I don't like when the look of it is that, black men are that swayed by celebrities, because that's the same business model that they do with black women when it comes to politics. They got to get Cardi B in a conversation with Joe Biden. I'm not really moved by that, just like I wasn't moved by Kanye West talking to Donald Trump. I'm not moved by that. I understand for some people that's a thing that works, that gets the unconcerned, or might stay home and not vote people. I guess maybe it energizes them, but I don't want it to go that angle. I don't want it to get goofy where if black men are going to start, voting Republican or voting however that the candidates, I got to find a celebrity. I got to talk to Soldier Boy, their representative. I don't like that. All right. I'm no fan of that shit. So I hope that doesn't just become a thing. I hope that don't become a thing, because then Republicans will be doing the same dance that Democrats do, and it'll just feel like the same pander. It'll just feel like the same pander, and I don't want that. I want the conversation. I want them talking to us like men, not like, look, Soldier Boy supports me. You should too. I don't want that shit. Weeks later, it is now clear that these two black men have plenty of company. A new poll of likely voters conducted by UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies and by the way, shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins. He the one sent me this. UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies and sponsored by the Los Angeles Times found that roughly half of black men plan to vote for Caruso in Tuesday's primary election. In fact, of all the men surveyed, black men were most likely to support him. So it looked like he's getting more support from black men than percentage-wise than he's getting from any other man. It's somewhat surprising, and as black women more than a little mystifying, given the years Bass spent working in the black and Latino neighborhoods of South LA. Why shouldn't we be or why should we put that as a feather in her cap or something good that she's working with the Latino communities in South LA or whatever they said? I'll show you why we shouldn't be too concerned about that, or we shouldn't view that as, yeah, it's a good thing. She's working with the black and Latinos community. She has a long history of doing that, and that's a good thing. No, because this is one thing that I do want to educate black men on. This right here.
One of which was specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on black.
Hold up. All right.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this, and there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological spectrum. Regardless of whether or not they disagreed on discrete policy issues, each and every one of them agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on black wage levels and employment levels. If you've got a significant influx of low-wage labor, what does it do? It depresses wage levels, correct? And what we found also was, regardless of the wage levels, illegal immigrants displaced black workers in areas that had traditionally been populated by black workers. And the reason for that is because what you find is black workers, particularly black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-wage labor market and are disproportionately likely to have no more than a high school diploma. And the same is true for the cohort of illegal aliens, and they compete with one another in areas such as construction, hospitality, service, and agriculture. This was not a small displacement either. we had one witness who testified that after he had run the numbers, he found that 40% of the decline in labor participation rates among Black workers over 3 decades was attributable to competition from illegal immigration. It comes to nearly 1 million fewer jobs for Black Americans as a result of the competition from illegal immigrants. And it's not just the employment levels, it's the wage levels also. And I can only give you a few examples, but we had evidence from the Fed in Atlanta, which did a study on this, to show that illegal immigrants depressed wages, the competition from illegal immigrants depressed wages by $960 on average. But in certain sectors, such as the hospitality industry, the depression of wage levels was $1,560. And because Black workers were disproportionately concentrated in those areas, they were disproportionately.
All right. There it is right there. I just played it all through straight clip. I normally stop, push pause, and give commentary, but y'all could see that fairly straightforwardly. Shout out to Hood Service for providing that clip. And that says it all right there. Theo says, all mods, please time out, Miss J. that says it all right there. Now, it is worth pointing this out, and I'll point this out that, yeah, you're a Black man, and in this fast-moving, fast-changing environment, you do need to be picking up some skills. So you're not among the lower-wage, unskilled workers who have just simply a high school diploma. Pick up a trade, learn a skill of some sort, do something. Yes. But on the aggregate, on the whole, there's always going to be a percentage that don't got it. Every amongst groups of people, if we divide them up by race, there's going to be still an underclass there. There's still going to be a working class there. The working class, high school diploma, the construction worker, the assembly line worker. A lot of these guys are police officers and firefighters. People who do jobs like that, really. But a lot of the lower skilled workers, like if you care about Black men in general, now I know we have some debate and discussion here how Black politics ends up turning all into being just concerned about Pookie and Ray, Nuck, and J-Rock and them. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the working man. Now, these men got families. These men got kids. I'm talking about the working class man right there. I'm talking about the working class man. If you understand what illegal immigration does to that working class man, these are hardworking brothers get up with steel-toe boots. If you understand what illegal immigration does to them, what it does to their job opportunities and their wages, and then when you see liberal democratic politics going on, and you see Black women like Bass, the one who's in this article here, that Black men are not supporting, or at least at a 50% rate. When you see them, when you read in the articles where they're saying things like, yeah, she did so much work for Black and brown communities, or I'll just read exactly what it says, because they were scratching their head trying to figure out how Black men wasn't supporting her. And she said, and it says, this is somewhat surprising, and as a Black woman, more than a little mystifying. This is somewhat surprising, and as a Black woman, more than a little mystifying, given the years that Bass spent working in Black and Latino neighborhoods of South LA. Black and Latino neighborhoods. Now, if she's working in Black and Latino neighborhoods, a lot of the times, it's somebody's working in Latino neighborhoods. Even though there's a percentage of people that are over here that are Hispanic or Latino, but they look at them Mexicans like, nah, we over here, y'all over there. I'm legal now. We don't need no more you illegals coming in. There are some that's like that. There are some of them that vote Republican. There are some of them that's really got selfish and in their own best interest. And hey, I ain't knocking it. But at the end of the day, what's really truly going on there is that Black female politics, yes, they get what they want from the Democrats. Black women tend to get what they want from the Democrats. What comes in as part of the deal is working on behalf of the illegal immigrants and working for the L. Gibbets, but working on behalf of the illegal immigrants, that works against the interests of millions of black men, as the gentleman just broke down. So, going back to hood conservatives, chauvinism and hate for black women, where he said, I'm just playing, but he said, you know, voting voting Republican is voting against black women. Well, if voting against black women, if voting for black women means voting for black women means you're voting against, in some situations, the best interest of black men, then yes, the vote against them can be logically or intellectually justified. That's the reason that there's a divide. That's the reason that 50% of the men, and I'm hoping that they've thought it through and that they're not voting for her for well thought out intellectual reasons and not just because Snoop Dogg endorsed her. But either way it go, I mean, just not just because Snoop Dogg endorsed her opponent, but either way it go, black men are moving in an opposite direction, and the world of black politics and academia are they're scratching their head trying to figure out why. But the writing, I would say, is on the wall. Shout out to everybody else in the building who come on now. You got to go on with that Jason Collins and that going. You floated one through. Caruso is not helping the monkeypox crisis. All right, Jason Collins. That's you. I don't want to have to call you an Uber. I don't want to call you an Uber. Don't say nothing crazy. You can hang. But I'm gonna have to get. If it's funny, you can hang out. But you better behave yourself. Uncle Stu, the old man on the block, says the woke is sleeping, shaking my head. Do they hear us now? Right on, right on. Black Wizard in the building says, if politicians have their way, they'll always try to redirect authentic wants to representation and messaging. Don't let politicians turn your real issues into a messaging mismanagement campaign. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point there. Freeman's Journal in the building with a $10 super chat says black men and Latino men are trending GOP. Now that's interesting, because I think those Latino men who are here and legal, they don't that's like we say, don't trust them new niggas over there. They don't trust them new Mexicans over there. They don't want no new Mexicans coming over here. Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of them are on. Black men on the sidelines waiting for the GOP's black patriarchy agenda are invisible. The black men that are voting will be the ones polled, the ones with an agenda. Support black male media. That's why I say this whole not voting stuff is some nonsense. You do need to get out and vote. You do need to cast a vote, or even if I generally say don't vote Democrat, but definitely, because we had a little debate over, because I was telling black men do not sit home, get out and vote. But then somebody was like, well, getting more black men to vote, that just means more black men are going to be voting Democrat. So that means they're going to be voting potentially against the best interests of black men. So for that reason right there, but if someone was arguing like, no, let them not vote. But no, I say definitely get out there and cast your vote, especially if you're of like-minded where we're at, where you know either don't trust or lost all faith or just completely like fuck the Democratic Party. But even if you don't want to vote Republican, still get out there, vote somewhere. I said right in Patrice O'Neill or Kevin Samuels. Like, just get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. Let them know that you participate in the political process, so they know that this is a vote that I could potentially earn, versus somebody said just be registered but don't go vote. It's like the whole don't vote shit. I mean, no, that's lazy to me. No, get out and vote, but if you don't want to give your vote freely to the GOP, then I definitely understand that. But vote, be on the record. But Black Wizard in the building again, he says, I'm apolitical, but something I notice the Democratic Party does is essentially try to tell their voters, we are helping you. You're just too confused to see it. Yeah, it's very condescending. Very condescending. He says, don't let them tell you you're stupid. Yeah, very condescending. Osama Abdu in the building. Osama Abdu in the building says, black men are walking away from all BS narratives. Absolutely, absolutely. And Christian Hutchison in the building. I got the video you sent me, and I think we're doing it. Let me know. Hit me up, Christian. Let me know if we fully 100% confirmed doing the meetup, the gathering. We loosely called it Black Manosphere Meetup Detroit, but I kind of want to stop calling it that because I don't want to confuse it with the big event that's coming next year. I don't want people getting confused with that. This is just a little local thing for Manosphere content creators and subscribers in the local Detroit area. Let me know if let me know if the 17th of next month is, if that's a go. Hit me up, and then I'll start promoting it. But Christian Hutchinson in the building says the Black community is basically taking government benefits all while bolstering Hispanic families / infrastructure. We live in the same neighborhoods. Shaking my head. Let me read that again. Now, the Black community is basically taking government benefits all while bolstering Hispanic families and infrastructure. We live in the same neighborhoods. I'm not 100% clear on what you're saying. I get that Black people are taking government benefits, but what specific benefits are you talking about? And you said, and bolstering Hispanic families / infrastructure. That's the part I want to know. I want to know exactly what you mean by that. You said we live in the same neighborhood. Shaking my head. I do want to know exactly what you mean by that. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you for everybody in the building. 410 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button, and let's dig back into this article. Where we at? Hold up. All right. Where we at? All right. Of course, it's not written in stone somewhere that all Black people must vote for Black candidates. Plenty of Black men and women surely support Caruso for their own sound policy reasons, maybe even Snoop Dogg, certainly Clarence Avant. We are not a monolith. After all, I mean, just look at Larry Elder. They taking shots at Larry Elder. I like a lot of what Larry Elder got to say. But the one that I really like, Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is that dude. Jason Whitlock is definitely that dude. I had to quit watching a lot of his content because it was just, I started stealing too much of his stuff. But no, I definitely like Jason Whitlock. But anyway, it goes on to say, after pointing out that we're not a monolith, look at Larry Elder. That really doesn't hit the nail. See, I don't like that they did that because I don't hit the nail on the head. Just pointing out somebody who's just been a card carrying Republican for the whole 30 years that he's been in the spotlight, been in the limelight. You want to shift the focus to why are Black men walking away from the Democratic Party? That's where you want to focus. And maybe some stuff Larry Elder says probably has something to do with that. But they're calling this the Ice Cube effect. So let's read a little further. We almost at the 1 hour mark, so we're getting close to the time where I want to hear from you guys on this one. But it says, but in this liberal city, in this very liberal state, it's also true that Caruso is the most conservative candidate running for mayor, and that many of his proposals, though responding to genuine problems and public anger, run counter to what most Black Angelinos, I think just Black people in LA, have long said they wanted. Caruso, for example, favors a return to some of the disastrous tough on crime strategies of the past, locking up more people and moving away from criminal justice reform. That is the conundrum that Black people run into. You don't want crime in your community. You don't want crime. So how do you fix that? Okay, we get tough on crime. Okay, now you're over policing and locking too many people up. You stop doing that, then more shit start happening. I remember shout out to Blackground Radio or AC Star. He said all that crime, everything going on out there in the hood, if they wanted to, they could stop all that, but they won't them niggas out there killing each other. They want them out there selling drugs. They want them doing all this and break. I was like, well, you saying they want them to do it, but if they wanted to, they could stop it. And you think that they should? Okay? By stopping it, then you create the problem of over-policing. A lot of people don't realize this. Freaking black people in the 90s, they supported that Biden crime bill. They supported it. They supported it. Why? They realized that it was a problem with crime in their communities. They supported it. They saw the results of the support and they said, oh, hell no. They saw the results of that support and then they said, hell no. Christian says, support Democrats, they give benefits, which many in our community want, but we have to take illegal immigration. So we sign off on, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, you was in agreement with me, you just put it in different words. Yes, if they want the benefits, they want the benefits. So yeah, in order to get the benefits, they sign off on something that's going to affect the working class among us and make more of us have to be on the benefits. And the Democrats are going to say, we're going to make sure you get those benefits. So it's a perpetual cycle that, shout out to LBJ, I'll have these niggas voting for me for the next 100 years. That's still going. That cycle is still going. Me and Game Changer had a real good conversation the other day where it was basically like, it's the ball is so far upfield that it really can't come back. Like maybe there can be some type of welfare reform or something, but the fact of the matter is, if they ended welfare right now, so many companies that make their money off the welfare, basically the government gives money to the people give that money to those companies. That's so those companies are essentially getting money from the government, if you really, and by them getting their money from the government, that's keeping them and the economy and everything afloat. It's like we're far upfield with this thing where it's who the hell knows what's going to happen when all said and done, how it could play out. But either way, Black Wizard Ados in the building says, we are not a monolith. I'm just demystified when we don't all vote the same. You're demystified when we don't all vote the same. But you see, no group all votes the same. So the fact of the matter is, like, it's an inevitable thing that Black people are going to, once we become more American, which we are, but once we start acting like it and thinking like it, there will be divergence amongst different types of Black people that want different things and who will vote for different people. Just like how, on any given presidential election, a Republican might get the majority of the white vote. Then on the next presidential election, a Democrat may get the majority of the white vote. The white people are divided, which means that's why when people make the argument about race, like white people just make every decision purely based on race. Like, how are they making every decision purely based on race when they all can't even agree on what they're voting for? Like, if they really got on code, they can get anything they want, but they all want different things. And I always point out that the white Democrats, they support policies that's helping make white people not even be the majority in this country. They're the most off-code people there is, damn near. And a lot of other people, particularly Black people, fail to take proper advantage of the shit. All right, a little bit more of this. Let me float the link out in the chat. We 1 hour in. Let me float the link out in the chat, and then I'll try to read a little bit more of this, and then hear from the people, see what y'all got to say on it. Caruso, for example, favors a return of disastrous tough on crime strategies of the past, locking up more people and moving away from criminal justice reform. He wants to add 1,500 officers. He doesn't want to defund the police. He wants to add 1,500 officers to the Los Angeles Police Department, and has been endorsed by former LAPD Chief William J. Bratton, he of Broken Widows policing infamy. On homelessness, Caruso wants to quickly clear. Now, I don't know that much about the homeless situation in LA. I heard somebody talk about it. I think I heard it was bad, but I don't know that much about it. But on homelessness, Caruso wants to quickly clear a lot more encampments, which Black men disproportionately occupy thanks to decades of systemic housing discrimination. I'm not convinced that housing discrimination is what leads people to being homeless. I'm not there are a lot of factors that do lead to somebody being homeless and being perpetually, for lack of a better word, a career homeless person. I mean, you've just been homeless for forever. You see the same people on the streets. If you live in the same city for a decade or more, you notice you start seeing the same people on the streets. The same person you saw on the street 10 years ago, you're still seeing that same person out there. There's other factors going on. I don't think it's systemic housing discrimination. Like, I don't think redlining have left people homeless. There are factors that leave people homeless, and some of it may be structurally in the system, but I don't think it's housing discrimination. He has made big promises to build more shelters and housing, both of which are easier said than done. But if encampments are cleared when there aren't enough beds available, he has the legally dubious suggestion of moving some homeless people into tent camps modeled after one built to house undocumented migrant children in Texas. Compare that with Bass, whose proposal on public safety and homelessness are less extreme, but far more realistic, sophisticated, and considerate of poor people of color. Poor people of color, not Black people. Poor people of color, including the immigrants you want to let in. Not just playing. But all right. Indeed, this is why many political observers assumed she would have the backing. Now, here's the deal. I'm not saying that Black men who are more forward-moving, upwardly mobile, and ambitious shouldn't care about homeless Black men, but I do think there are different types of Black men that vote for different interests, different reasons. They have different sets of interests, and so I don't think it's just that simple. I don't think it's just that simple to simply say, well, she's doing more for the homeless. Black men should care about that. So as you could tell, they're not really talking to Black men, even though even Dr. T.S. Johnson, there was something in there for homelessness in his 14-point plan for 14-point political agenda for Black men. But neither here nor there. If she ran for mayor instead, despite strong and consistent support from Black women, the poll found an erosion among Black voters overall, led by men. The question is why? The question is why? I'm trying to find something as I'm waiting for somebody to come up. I was trying to skip ahead. Damn, this was actually, when I was reading this, I didn't realize it was this damn long. Okay, yeah, I'm skipping to the part where they're talking about the Ice Cube effect. The question is why? Is it just sexism? So that's where they always want to go. They want to go right to the sexism, right to the good old sexism. Is it just sexism? They don't like her because she's a woman. For some, yeah, but no. But they go right to the sexism. Is it just sexism, or perhaps a related desire to uphold the patriarchy? I hate when they say patriarchy because you never know what they mean by that. When particularly liberal women say patriarchy, I literally read an article where they included everything from from wars to global warming. If anything that was wrong, they called it patriarchy. It didn't matter what it was. Evil patriarchy. They literally the polar ice caps melting. They called that patriarchy, like literally. Given that Bass would be the first woman to be mayor of LA, it can't be racism. No, I believe the answer has to do with what I am calling the Ice Cube effect. Yay, yay. All right. If you will recall, shortly before the 2020 presidential election, the Los Angeles rapper helped draft a progressive plan for Black America. He tried to get the Biden-Harris campaign to adopt it and was told to wait. You sit down, boy. Okay, they didn't say that, but they told him to wait. And so, driven by good intentions and hubris, he talked with the Trump administration officials about his plan instead of drawing and he talked to the Trump officials about his plan instead, drawing an avalanche of criticism, especially from Black women, appalled that he would even consider working with them. Ice Cube explained that although he hadn't paid attention to politics, I don't think Ice Cube said that paid attention to politics in a long time. He acted because Democrats weren't doing anything to help Black men. Actually, no, he said they weren't doing anything to help Black people, Black men, and therefore didn't deserve any loyalty for votes if Republicans were willing to do better. Now, that was fair. That was fair, and that's essentially what politics is. Whoever is in the power seat, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, it does not matter. You have your agenda, you know what you want, you take that to them. This is what we want. If you can give us this, you can get our vote. Would this percentage of the vote get you elected? Okay, so you need us. We can secure that win for you. If we secure that win, we want this. Flat out. Paying money helps, put money in somebody's hand. But also, if you can help somebody win an election, if you could tip the scale, that's politics. So Ice Cube was doing it the right way. He wasn't saying, I'm just going to sit on this until a Democrat is in the White House and then run it by a Democrat. I'm going to run it by whoever's there. I'm going to run it by whoever's there in the hot seat. And in no way, shape, or form, if people are just rudimentary, just when it comes to just political understanding, they would understand that that wasn't a bad thing that he did. But he was an evil, wicked traitor. He was an evil, wicked traitor for doing that. But that was actually the right thing to do. That was actually the right thing to do. Ice Cube was on point with doing that. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if nothing came out of it, drafting and putting together an agenda and presenting it and getting that person to either agree to do it, then not do it. It says a lot. Or getting that person to just to agree not to do it. Now, as far as he's concerned, the Democrats basically agreed not to do it. They're basically saying, let us win the election and then we'll talk. Instead of saying that, instead of agreeing, okay, I see what we got here. We can get these things done. We can get that things done. In fact, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to promote it. I'm going to make it a part of my campaign. I'm going to get this done, and then you could rally your troops, get them to the polls, so we can get this thing done. You know, like that's one way that politics get done. But to say no, let me get elected first. Let me show that I can get elected without you, thus further motivating me to not do anything that you're requesting. Because it's basically saying, I don't need you. I'm not going to do what you're requesting. Vote for me anyway, then we'll talk. Like, that's basically what Biden said. He left Cube with no other reason than to take the contract with Black America to Donald Trump. He left him with no other reason. He left him with no other choice, I should say. Now, I see I got somebody down there. Let me read a little bit more of this. Ice Cube explained that although he hadn't paid attention. Okay, wait. The Democrats weren't doing anything to help Black men and therefore didn't deserve any loyalty for votes if Republicans were willing to do better. I think they misquoted Ice Cube right there, because Ice Cube said the contract with Black America was for Black people, not just Black men. It was Black women who said that no, we need something there just for us. But every side is the dark side for us here in America. He put it at the time, they're all the same until something changes for us. And you remember the Fox Soul chick said, no, they not all the same. But anyway, they all lie and they all cheat. I heard a similar sort of logic when I. What the hell? Okay. I heard a similar sort of logic when I went to Leimert Park over the weekend to try to understand the apparently lagging support for Bass. I was hoping to talk to Black men who plan to cast their ballots for Caruso. Instead, I found a bunch of irritated Bass voters who nevertheless understood why their fellow Black men would do such a thing. So even the men who are still staying there, still voting for Bass, they understood why half of Black men were voting for Caruso. They told me many Black men are disillusioned and fed up with the status quo. They don't believe another politician can fix anything in Los Angeles, so why not give Caruso a shot? Some Black men, that's the Donald Trump argument. What do you got to lose? some Black men, they said, are naive about the complexities of city politics and don't understand that Caruso's promises on homelessness and the economy won't be easy or quick to implement. It don't have to be easy or quick to implement if they happen at all. Other Black men said see ads on TV and Instagram, part of Caruso's multi-million-dollar massive advertising blitz, and don't know about his history on the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners, or that he wants to add cops to LAPD. Black men can exist. Black men can be sexist too, they admitted. Some see Bass as sweet or soft, not hard enough to be mayor, like a shrewd, wealthy developer steeped in deal making. I don't think that that's sexist. I don't think that that's sexist. I think that's a calculated decision. As one of the Black political insiders put it, why are we going to vote for her? Because she's a nice lady? I dig that. But all right, let me see who I did down here. We probably will come back to the art. Oh shit, we got my man LAR movement still moving in the building. What is going on? You look very ashy right now, man. You need to put some lotion on the screen. Oh, there it is. It's coming in. Yeah, you was not coming through clear. Say something. Let me see if I can hear you. Nope, you ain't got no sound. Your video is real ashy. You just came on.
You know what? I was
screaming.
muted.
There you go. If
You
we
know
can hear
what?
you, we good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you
Okay.
good. You just slightly lagging. But what's going on? What you got on this?
I think at the end of the day, all these people who want Black men to do something or another, they never were trying to have a plan for Black men anyways. You didn't want to hear Black men's plan, and you didn't have a subsequent plan yourself. You have a plan for everybody else, though. That's the irony. You know, you have a plan for women, you have a plan for Asians, you have a plan for Hispanics, you have a plan for people in Ukraine, you have a plan for people in the Middle East, you have a plan for people in Jerusalem. You got a plan for everybody. Whether it's solicited or unsolicited, you figured out a plan to help certain people. But when it comes to us, no plan. And how dare we have a plan for one? Now, the other thing with the ladies that's interesting is they have a plan for themselves, but not their sons, husbands, brothers, nephews. But they want these same men to have a plan for them. So it becomes a waste of time. Of course, people are going to walk away, and not in all honesty, especially with the Democratic Party, you're not even catering to your number 2 biggest voting bloc.
Thank you. Listen, nobody points that out. They always talk about how Black women are the number 1 Democratic voting bloc for the blah, 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 blah. Okay, who's number 2? It's Black men by a mile, percentage wise. So it's like they don't acknowledge that. They're number 2 group. I mean, if you lump them together, it'd be number 1, but even if you separate them, that's your number 2 group. but they treat it like it just don't matter. It's like in their mind, it's like the black we just need to get the black woman. The black woman vote counts as 2 votes. Because every time she votes, there's a nigga coming with her. All right. But anyway, go ahead.
That's the problem. Now the black woman vote doesn't count as 2 votes. Now it counts as 1. So church, like, we all knew it was a problem when they made the stripper video to vote. We already knew it was a problem then. You know, that's the desperation and stupidity, because Hillary Clinton can pull hot sauce out of her bag, and but Joe Biden can tell you're not black on the Breakfast Club, and what you're just seeing is dwindling. What you're seeing is dwindling numbers, not really an exodus. It's just a slow exit. And when people say, like when the ladies were talking, was it Tiffany Cross? How could you go to the oppressor? Last time I checked, there is not an oppressor. If you want to be technical with black people, there is not a side that is not part of oppression. So it's like, if you want to play around, I think people have a bigger issue with maybe, just maybe, black men let you talk for years, but black men not stupid. Maybe you talked yourself into a corner that you can't talk yourself out of. And I hate to bring this up, but with the quote unquote younger generation being more liberal to date outside of their race, that's going to have effects on politics too.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Before I go to Black Wizard and Kavina Man down there, shout out to hold on, wait. I think this is the last one. Yeah, I think that's it. The problem is that black politicians assume that we should vote on gender and color instead of on our values and interests. Very true, very true. Shout out to Jupiter 1000X Ice says, y'all need to listen to Thomas Sowell. I do listen to. I haven't listened to Thomas Sowell. I mean, it's been a few months since I listened to some Thomas Sowell, but no, definitely Thomas Sowell. Yeah, he's definitely on point. He said, best red pill and truth you will get. There's actually an old video of Thomas Sowell and Joe Biden having a little back and forth discussion. It was interesting. The title of it is something like Thomas Sowell schools Joe Biden or whatever. You can watch it yourself to see if he schooled him. But yeah, that's the title of the video. But Kevin C in the building says, someone in the chat wrote, black men get government benefits. Can that specific person please state by item list of those benefits? Thanks. Absolutely. I would love to see a full breakdown of that. The money has been allocated for the homeless, but Brett Favre and them simply steal the money. I don't know that much about the Brett Favre situation, I'll be honest, but from what I heard, yeah, that was pretty damn bad. I haven't really dug into that. But shout out to Black Wizard who's on the panel. Black Wizard's on the panel, but I'll read this $50 super chat that he came to. He says FD Signifier was trying to create the same narrative that she is. Now black men are diverging because they want the white male authority they were historically denied. She asked misogyny or patriarchy, but to them, both options are the same thing. That is absolutely 100% true. They do view those two things as the same, but either way it goes, when if black men I always quote Jamila Hill when she said, she tweeted, I've come to realize that black men are, what did she say? Black men aren't interested in dismantling the patriarchy. They just want their, they just want their share of it or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. But anyway, Malcolm JC in the building says, shout out to LAR. And Mike and Vince Perkins in the building says, glad you covered this, support black male media. Absolutely. And I thanked you earlier in the show, and I'll thank you again for sending me that, but for sending me this article. But go ahead, Black Wizard in the building. You got the floor, you got the mic. And thank you for the sizable super chat. I do appreciate that. But go ahead, you got the floor, you got the mic.
Yeah, I was just actually coming up to elaborate on that a little more because
that's what I want you. Yeah, that's what I want you to do. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's stuff I'm seeing, and I mentioned it before, especially from the left, the Democratic Party, that they're trying to do, and it's like they're trying to build out this narrative that essentially says, oh, these guys are diverging not because they are misogynists, like, we would attribute to the white men who are going over and doing their thing, but they still want to use this brush to kind of paint everybody who's opposed to these quote progressive end quote ideas as alt-right or crazy or just fringe, right? So they're trying to figure out a way to do that with black men now, is what I'm noticing. And since they can't directly say you guys are misogynist, because now there's a movement in the manosphere that's basically like, you're not going to be able to do that to us. And then that would essentially go against the racist claims that they've been saying before, because then if they just come out and say we're misogynist, now they have to combat this, are we racist for calling them misogynist kind of thing. So instead of doing that, they're saying, well, they're not misogynists per se. They just really like the patriarchy. They look up to this white hegemonic masculinity as this idea, and they're afraid that, and they see that, that idea is kind of like blowing into the wind. It's becoming a thing of the past, and they're trying to grip onto this. But the sneaky part about what they're doing is they're essentially saying the same thing with different words, because to them, the patriarchy is a form of misogyny. So they're essentially still calling you a misogynist without saying it. You see what I'm saying? Like they're trying to use the same language to paint black men into the same brush of they're just alt-right, conservative, crazy people who hate women. But they're not. But they can't come out and directly say that. So they're using new language to kind of like point people into the same logical conclusion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I definitely see what you're saying, and that's definitely been going on the Democrat. Like they're legitimately scratching their head, just trying to figure out what's going on and why. But I think the writing is on the wall, and I'm shocked. No, not shocked, but it's interesting that they don't see it. It's interesting that they can't see how and why at least a percentage of black men would look at the Democratic Party and say that, no, this ain't doing this ain't necessarily for us. It's more so just it's keeping status quo of what's going on, and is benefiting, it has its benefits for black women, but is overall it's not doing nothing for us. It's not doing nothing for us. And they scratching their head trying to figure out the crack the code for that.
I think they're scratching their head, but in a different way than what you're talking about. They're not scratching their head trying to figure out what's going wrong per se. They're scratching their head trying to figure out what is the narrative that's going to make what's the narrative that's going to stick, that's going to make these guys look like fringe wackos, and so we can completely delegitimize the movement and bring everything back to the way that it was. You see what I'm saying? They're not trying to figure out why black men are diverging. They know why. They're people with very high prestigious degrees and high in media and things like that who watch the manosphere and don't say a word. They know what's going on. But they have the problem that this is out of control. So with white men, you could just say, "Oh, that's a white dude, and he's just hating because he's white." They can say that and get away with it, but they can't do that with black men, because then they'd have to confront the racism narrative that they've already created. So instead of going that same route and saying these guys just hate women, which can be statistically proven as untrue with all the black men are more progressive than most men in the world, all that kind of thing. They're trying to find a new route, and this is the scratching their head that we're seeing. They're like, how do we make these guys look crazy without making ourselves look crazy in the process?
Yeah, the goal is to make it to where nobody else joins their movement. Basically, that's essentially the goal. They don't want the black men that haven't left or diverged. They want to make sure that they don't leave, and we're going to do that by making those that have diverged or have veered off. We're going to try to make them look crazy to make sure that everybody else stays put. Because if you leave, you're over there with them crazy dudes over there. You don't want to be over there. You want to stay right here with us. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much.
exactly. The idea is to stop the leak. It's not to stop the people who are already moving. It's to stop the leak from continuing. So they know don't have any control over it. So they're trying to develop a narrative that slows this leaking down.
No, good point. Damn good point. All right, we got Kavina man in the building. Welcome back. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Yeah, thank you. Can I be heard?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. What I want to try to clarify is that LA and California, their voting patterns is a little bit different. And in this case with Karen Bass and Rick Caruso, they're both Democrats. The thing is, in
Well, one
California,
real thing, Caruso, he used to be a Republican. So at least in the article, they were trying to typecast him as a Republican. I don't know.
yeah, I was going to
yeah.
try to explain that. I was going to try to explain
Yeah.
how California works. In the primary, everybody, like all 5, 6, 7 parties, they all run on at the same time. It's the top 2 candidates that go into a runoff. So in this case, in the LA, mayor race, since they're just overwhelmingly Democrats, it was the top 2 Democrats to run off against each other. And Caruso is a more conservative Democrat, whereas Bass is a progressive. Right? She was a progressive caucus leader, and I think that's where the confusion is, because I think Black people are a little bit more conservative or moderate than the average Democrat, and it just shows up that way that these 2 Democrats, while they're different, some people, especially like the article mentioned on the homeless issue, the homeless issue is super serious in Los Angeles, like you wouldn't believe, and like no progressive politics have been able to solve it, so they're willing to, give a conservative Democrat a shot. I'll land the plane.
All right,
no, there's something else
Black
too.
Wizard. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's something else too. Like when I know you're conservative, right, Bernard?
Yeah.
But I don't really lean to any political party. But I do notice the tricks that they try to pull, and that in the same doublespeak that most of the politicians use are all throughout that article. And I tried to, when I sent that super chat earlier, I was trying to point that out when I said, oh, we're not a monolith. Black people aren't a monolith, but Black women are demystified by this. Black men that don't vote the same as everybody else. What's wrong with these guys? I was pointing out the hypocrisy of what she was saying. She's saying one thing, and then two sentences later, she said something completely different. So she said something that completely contradicts what she's saying. And this is something that I noticed that goes on with the left a lot. They'll come out and say basically everything that you're seeing in your reality, you're just confused. Like the things that are happening to you and the things that you think are real issues aren't really issues. You're just confused. You don't know what you're talking about. Our problem is we're not showing you what we are actually doing to change your reality. See, here's the stuff. Like they're trying to convince you that their message is more important than your actual living experience. And they try to do that so often that they end up speaking on both sides of their mouth. And they'll say one thing and then they'll contradict it 2 sentences later, because they're so focused on, trying to confuse, like almost like trying to get you to think like them, that they are like trying to deny your actual reality in the process. It's really annoying. It's really frustrating. But I just wanted to make sure that was pointed out, because like this is something that they all do. I've noticed they all do. Even FD Signifier was doing it with his little manosphere. thing. He'll say one thing, then on the back end, he might point to something that's an actual issue, but he'll be like, that's not a thing. And then he'll just kind of go off and say, they're just crazy, like like what you're seeing with your own eyes, unless it comes from the mouth of a quote expert, isn't real.
Yeah, no doubt. They'll try to what I call that. Well, I interpret it as they're basically doing like the confuse and conquer strategy. A lot of people say divide and conquer, but this is more like confuse and conquer. Like tell you that what you're seeing is not accurate. This isn't right. This is what it really is. They'll try to confuse you on the issues and then redirect you where you need to go. That's how I more or less interpret that. But 446 people in the building. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and definitely hit the like button. Black, somebody asked who was the person speaking. That's Black Wizard with a Q. You've probably seen him in chat rooms. Sir, I think that was Sir Tyson. That's who was that speaking. That's Black Wizard. When you said you're apolitical, I've heard a lot of people say that. I've never heard somebody who say it actually fully explain exactly what do you mean by that. Because yeah, just go ahead. I'll just leave it there. What exactly do you mean by that when you say you're apolitical?
I mean that my son's tripping. Hold on. I'll get right back to that. Hold on one second.
Okay. All right. See, lots of good active fathers in the manosphere. Not a bunch of deadbeats like they say. Not a bunch of deadbeats like they say.
All right, I'm back.
But okay, go ahead.
What I mean to say by that is, when it comes to political parties, I don't choose a side. When I think of like a lot of people tend to think of their acts as political. Like they'll say, I have a friend, very active in the church, very left leaning, and he considers everything a political act. So like he'll be like, Black men have to get out and vote. Like now that is a political act. You're actually participating in the political process. But he means it as a political. He means it as some type of political like statement. When I do things, I don't consider what political allegiance goes into my actions. So like if I'm looking at a problem and I think that problem actually exists in reality, then I say, okay, well then who is more likely to support my needs? I don't think, well, I am conservative, therefore who in the conservative party will support my needs. I don't think I am liberal, who on the left will support my needs. I just think there's something going on that I can clearly see, and if I want something to change about it, then I have to pick a person whose policies line up with what I want to change. You see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's honestly how most people should be. Like I say that I'm conservative, meaning if I look at every issue, I end up being more right of center. I'll say that I'll end up being more right of center. But you still, even then, you still got to look at what's on the docket. You still gotta look at that. So I mean, so I understand what you mean by apolitical. I mean, in that, by the way that you described it, I think everybody to some degree should be that. It'll probably flip the whole system upside down if everybody actually thought like that, and it would actually force politicians to actually do their job if everybody actually thought like that and voted like that, in terms of, I know where I stand on stuff and I'm going to vote for whoever is doing the most of what I stand for, instead of just saying hard line, vote Republican, vote Democrat. So no, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the reason why issues like this can even be brought up is because we don't think that way. So like like when it comes to, at least historically, when it comes to Black people, for a while, you could expect Black people to vote left. And now, since that's not happening, people are seeming to be like scratching their heads like, oh, well, you always did it before. What's going on? But I think now if I guess the pundits and the commentators were more honest, they would agree that black men at least, are becoming more demystified by the, always vote this way because that's just what we do, and are more being like, all right, well, that doesn't work. What will work? And now they're starting to ask similar questions that I guess I ask myself, which is like, well, I see these things going on in my community. What's going to help? Who is more likely to help that? I think it's becoming less an idea of I'm just choosing this guy or this person because they're blue. And I think wasn't there a campaign that said vote blue no matter who or something like that?
I didn't see that one.
but yeah, so yeah, now more black men are like, what's actually gonna help me out, and or my community, or what's actually going to be in my best interest. And the interesting thing about that is now all the commentators and the pundits are framing it like, oh, these guys don't even know how to vote for their interests anymore. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, we got Complex Design in the building. Welcome back. What you got on this?
Hey, good morning, Bernard. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Bernard, can you guys go ahead, just stall it out for like 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
2 minutes. Okay, yeah, no problem. Shout out to There I Said It in the building, says, excellent point, Wizard. Love that this movement has become political. Black men should continue shed light on how democratic policies hurts the black community and convert more black men. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I'll be happy. I'll say this. For me, when it comes to this, I'll be happy black men stop blindly voting Democrat. I'll be happy if that happens. And then once black men stop blindly voting Democrat, they'll realize, okay, this is a separate voting block. So now we have to come to them and see what do they want? What would get their vote? And then when something like that happens, they could perhaps be directed to Dr. Tiasan Johnson's 14-point black male political agenda. That's ideally how I would like to see something like that play out, or an agenda similar. It don't just got to be, Dr. Tiasan Johnson. If anything is out there similar, because when I did
even say, we run a technocratic platform, right? And we're across the board in terms of the Black Brain Trust, right? So there's another platform here in Black manosphere space, right, that has a agenda with a political component attached to it. In California, I'm registered as an independent. Similar to Black Wizard, he has a apolitical position, right? I'm registered as an independent. Mine is purely industrial. My political objectives are largely aligned with industry. Okay, so I don't even consider one side or the other. It's really about like, okay, which candidate has like a platform where we'll see more money by doing business. Simply put, right? And what you ideally want to do is put money on both sides. Right? If you really want to play the game, put money on both sides. Right? So that either way, you're going to get your goddamn agenda done. It's either going to be one person or it's going to be the other. Okay. Now, in terms of the Ice Cube effect, I think that was what he realized when he had that conversation with those sisters on Fox Soul, was that they essentially just came out in the open and said, well, no, there's a black people agenda and then there's a black woman agenda. And we see it in totality that sisters are largely their own voting constituency. They are a separate constituency. So there's like greater black population, and then there's a sub constituency called black women. Okay. So much in that vein, this is what we need to basically pivot to. Now, there's room in that for all of these agendas to exist. Dr. T. Hassan's, our technocratic one, conservative, I don't care, right? Because see, money is what drives politics. Okay. See, so what I can do is, like I said, I don't even take political ideologies into consideration. You could be Democrat, conservative, Republican. I don't care. But do we have business interests that are aligned? Because see, regardless of what we are, we may have to make a decision to vote on something so that it better lines our pockets. And if that's the case, you need to throw political ideologies out the goddamn window.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he makes a good point, and I think. Oh, sorry.
Well, we haven't heard from LAR in a while, so go ahead. Let me go to LAR.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I think people are coming to grips with very slowly that the Black community agenda does not cater to Black men, and the Black woman's political agenda does not cater to Black men. So, politically, it doesn't really matter which side. Internally in the community, you can't think of something that is Black community that actually benefits Black men either. So, and because the Black community is really women, children, and gay Black people at this particular point politically. And the Black women's agenda is their own agenda. You see people coming around to the fact, using the Ice Cube reference, that, wait a minute, okay, everybody's their own separate block, saying they're part of the community, but we're the only group on the outs in the community. So I think these parties are starting to realize slowly, and we're realizing it slowly, that we're the only person who has an agenda for ourselves. So we just need to push that, absent of the community and the women. I'm done. I'm done.
Right on.
Now,
right on.
It's kind of like SYSBM only politically almost. If you think about it.
I didn't want to connect the two.
No, I would Black Wizard. I would argue to say it's actually, let's put it in a more realistic context, right? I think what it is, there's an increase in savviness, right, in terms of the political landscape, right? We've gotten so polarized. We've been so polarized, right? Let's start with the Trump election, then we go into the Biden election, and what we've done is we went from literally one side of the extreme to the other, right? And through this whole shakeup, which also had a pandemic component to it, right? And there was reports and studies about how Black men's health was how adversely affected it was by all of this. Right. You see, so, we've been on an island in a lot of ways without realizing it. And I think now it's come to the realization that when we look around 360 panoramic, there's water around it.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say it's like an increase in awareness. Like, hey, it's like, wait a minute, I'm a person too. Why ain't I getting stuff? It's almost like an awakening in that sense. And
it's not necessarily why are we not getting stuff? It's basically, why are our political efforts seemingly redirected in such a way where we ultimately don't see the fruits? Like, you do all the work to tend to the garden, make sure that, the trees and everything's growing and all that, right? And then you wake up one day and the shit's been harvested already. And you're like, where the fuck is my fruit? Right? Where are my vegetables at?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Damn complex. I've been trying to jump in just a tad bit.
My bad. Go ahead, bro.
No.
You got it, Sir Chase. You got it.
Can you read my super chat first? Because I'm going to tie this.
Oh, yeah.
That's Sir Chase. What's going on, bro? It's been a minute.
Long time, brother.
Yeah, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm going to disagree with you, though.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Shout out. Let me read this one. says, I forgot Black Wizard's name, Bernie. Salute to him and LAR. Here's the point. The left doesn't sell black man sheet. They sick their, I can't tell what that is.
It's a German
That's
Shepherd.
a dog. Okay,
No,
they
it's a
sick their
German
dog
Shepherd.
on us with okay, yeah, you are absolutely right. They sick their dog on us with shaming tactics, and most capitulate. Absolutely. But before you jump in on that and let Complex know where you disagree, let me get to Black Wolf Inc. really quick. Black Wolf Inc. in the building says, salute, Captain. Good to see you. Idea for you and LAR movement for a panel. Where will LeBron James rank overall on the top 10 list? You don't even got to say top 10. You need, he ain't. I'm just.
Can we move fast?
You can start with top
why would
3.
you ask that question in the top 10? That's automatic.
He just disgusts me, so it's just.
But
yeah, you don't got to say.
Shut up.
You can at least skip to 5. Say top 5.
Yeah.
you could argue that it's probably 4 people, but even then that's a tough argument. Especially since he's about to pass Magic. You're about to pass Magic in all-time assists and Kareem in all-time points.
That's just in numbers.
Long as he don't get injured this year, like that's just insane. But
man, look, he's gonna be the first dude to play with his sons, maybe even. Okay?
Yeah. LeBron is something different.
So you gotta give me another topic.
Let's not change the conversation, man. We'll easily pivot, bro.
Change the topic, but also for fun, rank best NBA franchises. You trying to change? You do that a lot.
Damn it, man! What are we?
Best NBA franchise? That's the Lakers. Easy. I mean,
anyways. So I forget. I forget because you're a trader. You live in Michigan, from Michigan, and you ain't the home team.
Wow, you just did that.
Everybody clowned me because I didn't know. What is the name? Dan Olevin. What's the dude? What's the dude that was a backup quarterback?
Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, everybody clowned me like I was supposed to automatically know that back in 2008, when I guess Stanford got injured,
right.
he got 7 starts for Detroit. I didn't know that. I was like, who's this dude? Everybody, I got calls from people from Michigan, everybody in the chat room or in the comment section clowning me. I'm like, I didn't know. Anyway, all right, go ahead.
I'm gonna get political real quick, but I do highly recommend that Lakers Legacy. The Lakers Legacy, not to be confused with the Winning Time or whatever. They go through it from Magic all the way up until LeBron, and it's a lot of footage that many people haven't seen. Hey, good afternoon, fellas. What up, LAR Complex? So I was saying this for my super chat. So what I do, I've never called myself a conservative, but when I look at what I believe in and what basically the principles I follow, it is conservative in a sense. I've always played the political game of now Florida's a different state than many other states. In Florida, if you're a registered independent, you can't vote in, a Democratic primary or Republican primary. So you can change your party. And what I've often said is I wish we would get more knowledgeable about this process, because it would just literally take 20% of us to have an effect on these things, for us to, we're going to register as Democrats here and get this person out. But because political education is very low and we only frankly as a collective care about elections during presidential years, it's kind of a moot point. My only difference to your point, Complex, on that is I understand when you say about your technocratic agenda, there is absolutely, me having heard you for the last 3 years, I don't see anything on the left that would appease you, can you give me one example and I'm not trying to put you on no moral kick.
No, you're good, bro. Go ahead.
No. These dudes, I mean, you look at I hate to bring up this organization, but Project Veritas is exposing what's happening in schools, them putting these liberal agendas in, boys can be, you get what I'm saying, or how they are exposing it. We know it's inside the schools, and Democrats don't want you to have school choice. They think it's okay for family friendly drag hour. Like, what the fuck is this? So I'm just wondering, what is it that a Democrat could be driving that, you know, a brother like yourself would say, you know what, I'll still ride with this because it helps my business, or they give my business a tax break. I mean, help me understand that one, brother.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Now, not every politician is running on a platform where they're going to espouse one thing over the other. Now, I'll give you just case in point. I'm in California, right? About the wokest goddamn state you can live in.
Absolutely.
Okay. However, I live in Kern County. They call it Trump country out here. Okay. The highest percentage of Trump voters is literally where I live.
Okay.
So the first thing we need to do is invoke a little bit of nuance into the conversation. That's the first thing. The second thing, to answer your question directly, you say, well, what is it that a Democrat, in terms of some sort of agenda that they're pushed, that would be favorable to my business? I'm in EV. I'm in micromobility, small scale EVs, electric scooters, electric bikes, you know, trikes, small scale electric vehicles. Okay. Who do you think is pushing this mandate for all this shit? Democrats are.
Yeah.
Now, well, hold on. No, because look, am I on board fully with it? Not 100%. Okay. Is it favorable to my business? Oh, absolutely. Yes, it is. However, I'm bothered by this mandate that California has put out here, that by 2030, we're just going to stop selling gas cars altogether. Okay.
Right.
First thing.
I'm glad you explained that. So
by 2043, they want all gas cars just off the roads in California. I'm a car guy. You think I like that shit? See, I think there's a happy medium. Me personally, I think there's a happy medium here. And I do think that the mandates ultimately will be rolled back. That's 7 years off. And we got to understand things like supply chain issues, diesel fuel costs, for example. California has the highest diesel fuel costs. And what that does is that's greatly affected the supply chain for stores here in California. A lot of guys don't want to come in and do runs here in California because they'll go and do the runs and spend all the money they were supposed to make on diesel fuel. So there's a lot of policy concerns, even though they're good for my business on one side. On the other side, it affects the greater functioning of things. You know how much produce leaves California and goes to the rest of the country? Well, what if you have a whole bunch of truckers and people that are refusing to do trucking here in California? Oh, let's try this one also. They got rid of the contractor business model in California. Did you hear about this? See, so if you're an independent contractor as a trucker, you have to redo your whole business. It's going to cost you a shit ton more. Like, you got to understand, there's certain policies where I'm not on board with them. And then that's when I go and vote for the other guy who's against that shit.
Okay. I'll go. Let's do this
real quick, sir. Real quick, Sir Tice. But Complex, what you explained right there. That's why when I describe myself, I said I say right of center conservative who will likely vote Republican. But the reason I say likely because there's something like if something is on the docket that hey, I like this will I don't care who's the person who's pushing it. This particular thing right here, if it's good, I can vote for that. But again, we're talking locally right there, and that most politics is local, and like the masses don't understand that. They just show up every 4 years, but most of the time is local.
Yeah.
Where the true difference for as far as what you want and what's going to make more of a direct difference in your life, provided that you got something going on that's that will be affected by it. But go ahead, Sir Tice.
What I was going to say is one issue at a time real quick is that, okay, and when we break this down, this is what I don't understand about that electric car mandate. It's like, and by the way, these environmentalists are just as bad, if you want my frank personal opinion. But
don't get me started. Don't get me started on the green climate agenda. Don't get me started on that shit.
So we're on the same page. But what I don't understand is, on the surface, this electric car thing sounds real great and all this, but we should all know that it's fossil fuel that creates the electricity that is used to charge these things, Okay. And it's like, but hear me out real quick. It's like, where is the pushback from the people to say this is complete bullshit? Okay. You're talking about in less than 10 years. God damn it.
I don't. Do you really want me to go here, Sir Tice? Just real quick. Do you really want me to go here?
I gotta go on mute anyway. Hello.
Well, yeah, you
Uh-oh.
can go ahead, Complex.
Okay.
That's something I never
All
thought
right.
about. That
Well, no. Here's what I would
a lot of
ask
energy to charge the things that give us the
Right.
Yeah. That's never thought about that.
Well, no. Here's what it
Go
is,
ahead,
right? Because
Complex. Go ahead, Complex.
the mandate comes down from a group what is referred to as the World Economic Forum. You guys are familiar with who they are. Okay.
No.
So these are the people that are also responsible for the nitrogen reduction mandates in Europe, right? Which has all the farmers in, say, like the Netherlands, Germany, Italy. Where else are they having these protests at? Portugal. There's like one or two other countries there, right? Where's that?
Sri Lanka.
Okay, then there's the whole Sri Lankan protest, the blow up over there, right? And so a lot of these green climate, these global initiatives, like all of this stuff these are mandates coming down from the World Economic Forum, which, they would refer to as the quote unquote deep state, right? But there's a face to it. And that's who these people are.
You will own nothing.
Say that again?
You will own nothing.
Yeah, that guy, Klaus Schwab, you know what I'm talking about. Read the book. He like the whole book. He wrote a book called The Great Reset, where he basically explained the pandemic to you, right? Like, as if he didn't have something to do with it. But anyway, all of this stuff is coming from them, and yeah, it doesn't make sense on the ground to us. But when it's a NGO based sort of globalist kind of group of CEOs and investors and all these politicians, super rich people, stuff like that. And they subscribe to this new sort of global agenda post pandemic, right? And all these mandates and stuff, it's coming from the World Economic Forum. So I'm trying to like just basically give it to you guys, give you the skinny on where this shit's coming from, because it's not necessarily our government per se, because we don't benefit from doing this. But see, Bill Gates does, right? And some of those other uber rich folks, they benefit. They're the ones buying up all the farmland right now. Right? They're the ones terraforming what this is supposed to look like going into the future here. So, yeah, that's who you look at, the World Economic Forum.
No, I understand where it comes from personally. I'm glad you did explain that, for others. What I'm saying is, and this is, I don't want to make this about Trump, but this is what makes Trump dangerous, because he's an impediment to that. I'm not saying Trump is the savior, is the hero to that or whatever, but he's the one who's calling them out in a sense. What I was just talking about from the ground, all the people there in California, because you guys have the perception of being these laissez-faire ass liberals and all this, and you've never.
No. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100, Sir Tice. Gavin Newsom is a WEF student.
Yeah, right. I'm saying though, you guys are citizens. You've never struck me as one of these laissez-faire, we're really Marxist type people, whatever, So I'm just curious from the groundswell level, like, where is the people saying, okay, hold on a second, enough is enough here, like, hey,
dude, what are you talking, bro? They're all over, man. Look, what do you think these farmers? I live out here in the farmland, dude. I got almond orchards, I got watermelon patches, I got onion fields, I got all that shit just literally around the corner from me, right? What? These guys are gonna sit up here and say, oh, what? I can't use my tractors anymore. I got to go get new electric tractors, or what? I got to go and order these new bots from these startups, right? That do agricultural stuff, right? I got to go and invest in bots and an IoT stack, so where basically I hit a button and then they go and do all the stuff, and right? Are you trying to literally say I have to rethink and redo how we do things? And basically, in a nutshell, the answer is yes. So, no, not every, like I said, I'm in the EV sector. Do you think that I think that this is sensible? Fuck no. Not at all, man.
All right.
I kind of want to.
Well, just hold on real quick. Black Wolf Inc. in the building it says political question. We'll probably have to come back to that. I definitely make sure we come back to this question because I don't want to get them off of where they're at. But shout out to Black Wolf. He said, political question: how do you perceive the red pill / black men agenda going if the red tsunami occurs and both houses flip? That never happens. I don't know what you mean by both houses. Wait,
He's
never
talking
mind.
about the
I know.
You're talking
I
about
got it. I got it. Yeah.
House
But
and Senate.
yeah, I know what you mean. But I don't know. We'll come back to that. I want to keep them on what they're on. We'll definitely come back to that one. Not complex. Black Wolf. But shout out to Jonathan Barronville. Just came through hard and heavy-handed. Just talked to this brother yesterday. Talked to Jonathan yesterday. But like, shout out to JB. Came through hard and heavy-handed with $100 super chat.
I have 5 on it anymore.
What'd you say?
How come I don't hear I got 5 on it anymore?
Because I got annoyed by it.
Everybody kept sending in $5 just to hear the shit.
It started getting annoying. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back.
You're like walking around the house
just as an audio drop. Yeah.
Yeah, you're walking around the house and you just keep hearing, I got 5 on in my head, and you just want to punch something.
I got annoyed by all the drops.
Yeah.
It's like it was cool at first, but after a while, it was like,
after a while, I was like, okay, I can't do this shit no more.
That's why, like, lead attorney, he still do that same thing every time. It's like his horns going the whole time. I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, that was cool for like 3 months. It's like,
you almost want to like drop and duck under a table.
But no, I'm gonna bring the audio. I'm gonna bring them back.
All right.
Lance Brown in the building. He says, by going all electric, the government or any company can control your movement. Example: Andrew Tate being silenced. He says, by going all electric, the government or any company can control your movement. What do you mean by that?
Hold on. I'll give a perfect example. I can't remember what state, if it was either Colorado or Minnesota, but people who are on the gas company's payment plan, you know how they space out your payments or whatever. If they had electric thermostats, they basically lowered the temperature to a certain level to whereas these people all afternoon couldn't adjust their particular thermostat. Okay. You there, Bernie? Yeah. So that's what they mean by various control and such, or basically they can hit the kill switch and shut you off.
Sir Ty, so I'll do you one better.
Go ahead, Complex.
So during we had the heat wave towards the end of August and the beginning of September. So in California, man, we had a stupid heat wave for about 3 weeks. We averaged over about 108 during those 3 weeks, right? So, they were asking people not to charge your electric car at night, right? So, what people were doing? They were going to Harbor Freight. They were going to Harbor Freight, buying a generator that had a 220 output, put gas in the generator, turn it on, and then plug up their electric car and charge the car with the gas generator, right? Because you couldn't plug into the 220 in your house because it was going to draw off the grid and they were going to have rolling blackouts and shit, right? And then the next thing they did was, if you have a smart meter, okay, that's where they can throttle your thermostat. They can remote control it. I can do that with my scooter shit, the micromobility stuff. I can literally, somebody can take a scooter and then I can just hit a button and it'll turn off. So it's really, it has, we did maybe about 7 months ago, we did a deep dive on this type of technology. It's called IoT, Internet of Things.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all of this stuff is going to be connected, and the 5G rollout is what is online, is bringing all of this online. It's 5G.
Isn't it amazing how this stuff is often sold as convenience and people just buy into it or whatever, but they're really buying into what'll, I don't want to say for lack of a better term, destroy them, but basically for your convenience, you're giving up a lot of control.
Well, no. Here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing, right? It's like the technology has the capability to do whatever, right? And there's reasons why you have to have certain things operate the way it does. However, there is, I would say, a sensible application for things, and then there's like a very opportunistic application for things, right? It's the approach. How are we using this? Okay. I'm not the biggest fan, dude, of just like I was talking to my stepmom about what we were just talking about right now, the smart meters, right? Because she had a friend who during that heat wave she couldn't drop the temperature in her house below 78. And this is somebody who's older, right? So older people, man, they can't be like sitting in hot houses and shit, right? But she literally could not change her shit below 78 degrees. Dude, that's a problem.
Mm.
That doesn't account for people that have special circumstances and stuff like that, right? And when you do that, you're basically going into the autocratic type of environment here, right? We're seeing it in Europe right now, dude, with all this shit going on between like Russia and Europe, and the Nord Stream pipelines have been hit, and there were sanctions placed on Russia, so Russia's not giving gas to Europe. So what Germany and the UK, what everybody's answer to that is? The answer is, don't use as much gas. Similar in California, where they were like, well, look, you can't put the temperature down past a certain point. They're like, well, look, you can't raise the temperature in your homes up past a certain point so that we can better manage and monitor and meter the usage. Bro, this is kind of a scary domain to go into. And if you honestly think I'm somebody who's down for this shit, think again, bro.
All right, let's bounce this one around the room. Black Wolf Inc. dropped a political question on us: is how do you perceive the red pill / black man agenda going if the red tsunami occurs and both houses flip? That never happens. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
There's no if it is going to happen, the better, so it's definitely, I think even the Senate is going to go, but the House definitely. But I think, how it is when people get power and they're happy with it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up not doing what they should do. But I think this is just my personal thoughts. I think because the left has the media, let me say it this way. I think there's more people that think kind of like we do. I won't say totally red pill, whatever, but people are real. But bottom line, when you mess with people's money and with the way inflation and things are right now, people may not admit it, but they're like, okay, screw this. We've tried it this way. We're going this way completely. You know what I mean?
No, they're admitting it, dude. They're admitting it.
Well, you don't complex. You're gonna still have black people who gonna hold their nose and pull the nose, and vote red for the first time, and will never admit it on their Facebook posts or anything because they don't want to be seen as a person,
Yeah. Well, hold on. Well, I want to let's touch on that because you said the left has the media, and that's true. But I think the right has social media.
This is what I was saying. Let me clear that up. When I'm saying the left has the media, it gives us the perception that this stuff this ideology is more widespread than it really is. Remember when we showed the map of where most black people live, and it's mostly the South? Well, most of middle America, whatever you want to call them, flyover zone or whatever, they're like, damn this shit. We're sick of this. We tried it. You scared us into if you go this side, it's gonna be like this, So that's at least my thought. Now, as far as the red pill thing, similar to the manosphere, I don't think that the red pill is ever designed for mainstream consumption. I think most guys it's just too hardcore for them. In a nutshell, they need a chaser with it. So.
Well, no, Sir Tice. I mean, dude, this is how social memes work, right? Because somebody can make you ever seen these memes that have been around for like 10 years, like the little girl that's like she has her teeth kind of bucked and she's looking off to the left, and that chick is now like 20, 21 years old, right? And it's still relevant, right? And so, so it's like memes over time become these real things. And I think really, if you're to kind of just break down quote unquote red pill, I don't like to use those terms. I just call it awareness, growth, right? Knowledge, however you want to contextualize it or frame it, right? I think what happens here is that in conversations where it's quote unquote red pill, there is a dissection of all things social. It's not just simply women. i.e., we're having a conversation about politics right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about pragmatism in terms of the conversation, where you strip away all of the mythos, right, and the hypotheticals and everything, and you get down to what actually is, number one, and then number two, what will immediately impact your wallet from a political standpoint. And it's really just a literally pragmatism at this point. It's not about woe is meisms. It's not about what they are doing, right? We're discussing, what do we want out of this whole political frame? That's a different mindset, a different mentality, and that would more or less align with what social memes would call red pill or black pill.
Mm-hmm. Wes M in the building says, I work in heavy equipment for the shipping industry. We have automated machines that are solely electric. The price of techs will rise to a level most people wouldn't be able to afford it. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. What's y'all got anything on that? Like what he's talking about, the price of tech will rise.
What he's talking about is he's talking about the reindustrialization of our supply chain. Just similar to that would be like Amazon warehouses, where bots are they're starting to take on more. As you see more of the, and this follows into the mandates, man. Because there's a lot of companies that produce these bots and all this, right? And they want to make their money, right? You see, so there becomes a competition between human resource capital and automated resource capital. And right about now, humans have kind of maxed out. Okay. They've also shown that they don't really have the desire or the impetus to say outcompete machines. I wouldn't even want to do it, right? That's why I think what we do is we reorient ourselves. Well, this is just my own opinion, right? I'm not trying to pound anybody else over the head with this, but we start thinking in more of a technocratic mind state, where we leverage and utilize technology for our gain. Right? You could either succumb to it, or you could deploy it and make money from it. You basically, you have to pick your battle at this point.
Yeah, Vincent Barbie in the building says, what is worse, drilling for oil and gas or blowing up the earth for the heavy metals used to make your batteries and other electronics?
Well, worse obviously would be blowing up the earth. Let's do that, right? Now, you can mine for like uranium and cobalt and all these other materials. You can do that. You can also invest in solid state batteries. And there's various chemistries that can be utilized for solid state batteries, right? One is basically a sodium glass battery, right? There's an abundance of sand that could be utilized to make glass, for example, to make batteries. Another chemistry is using hemp nanocarbons, literally from weed. Use the nanocarbons, and you can make solid state batteries that essentially rival the output capacity of a lithium ion. So there's other alternative methods to doing things. It's more or less about how industry is pivoted, so to speak. Okay, China doesn't have any interest in battery chemistries and stuff like that are outside of the realm of the supply chains that they control, i.e., all of their mining operations, like in Australia and Africa and stuff like that. Okay, they are the world's factory. They are the largest battery manufacturer. So they don't have an interest in that. Whereas take Tesla for example. Elon, he's got money in different companies that do different types of batteries. You just never know, right? So he's hedged for the future. And that's how we have to also think. We have to also think about, well, what are some alternative things that we can tap into now, so that, in the future, if some sort of wartime engagement happens out there and, supply chains get affected, what do we do as an alternative? What do we have on deck? Got to really think about this stuff.
Yeah. Lance
No, I think
Brown
that's
in the building. Wait, hold on real quick. Lance Brown in the building says exactly my point. Other controlling your life. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Go ahead. I think LAR was trying to jump in. Or who was that trying to jump in?
I'm gonna just be honest about.
That was
Yeah,
LAR.
it was me. It was me. I'm gonna just cut to the chase about this, and I've said this numerous times. This is America. We're lazy. We need an algorithm to think now. 50% of people gonna be on OnlyFans. There's nothing that's going on in politics or technology that the vast majority of Americans cannot access and do themselves, but we won't.
Thank you.
We spend more time looking for porn than looking for solutions. So, the supply chain doesn't matter. The electricity, gas, it doesn't matter. At the end of the politics, the red pill part, all you're going to find out is both sides are incompetent, something we already knew.
Wait, so you said what doesn't matter?
If you want to,
what doesn't matter?
The politics don't matter either because both sides are stupid. We live in a country where it's a bunch of people that go to the same building every day, by the hundreds, who's supposed to have solutions to problems and ain't fixed nothing in 100 years. For some odd reason, we just don't want to admit that, this is just kicking the can 101.
You're saying
this country been in debt. It's going to stay in debt.
Well,
this country's
the
not
central bank system runs on a debt, right? Like these are going to be fundamental truths, right? That I think we should have already have accepted by now, right? That the country does. We run on a debt-based, credit-based economic system. We have that, right? And when we get into trouble, what do? Just print more money, right? And then we say, we'll just add some inflationary costs in there to we'll kind of offset certain things and this and that. Yeah, they maybe affect some companies and some jobs and this and that, but, we'll give it a couple quarters and then, right? That's always been the method, right? Now, I'm not necessarily...
What does that entail for an individual?
Wait, say that again, LAR?
On an individual level, if you keep doing that, you're going to wind up selling drugs ass. What you think is going to happen with this country?
Wait, you said on an individual level?
The same way you're talking about the banking system and the debt. When you take that to an individual American level, when we as Americans individually are in these situations, you revert to selling drugs or sex. At the end of the day,
no one's talking about individualism here, though, LAR. Quite the contrary, actually.
I'm saying that I know this. What I'm saying is the country is that bad that you can view it in the aspect of an individual because that's how far down we are. There are no solutions to get out of these problems.
Okay, wait, what specifically?
On Instagram hoping to give views for money. Say that again.
I'll say I fundamentally don't share that point, right? Because I would say that the counterance to that is that, if what you're doing is relying on your immediate environment, right, for let's just say capital influx, you're already screwed. Whereas I think the black male agenda has to be one of a globalist mindset because technology affords us the ability to make money globally. So if we extract resources from other places and then bring it in, now you have more capital resource to work with. It's a shift in thinking. I mean, listen, your environment is your environment. You have one or two options. Either you're going to do something to affect what it does, or you're going to succumb to it. I mean, and if you want to take the position of just succumbing to things, then I guess what we can't then do is complain about anything.
I'm saying something to the effect of what you just said. And it's not just about black men. This is just an American thing. The first thing you said was you think. 85% of the country don't.
Okay, but what we're talking about, but LR, once again, I want to make sure that what we're honing in on is the literally the collective of brothers listening in right now, because that would be that 15%. Okay. And in all facets of society, it's always a smaller group of people that are doing the major shit and making the big bucks. Okay. You see, so I understand what you're saying, but you see, I assume myself to be part of the elect and the elite. And I think anybody here who's putting in on this conversation or listening in is aligned with that too. Because see, they could be elsewhere, like you're saying. They could be, but they're not. They're here.
That's part of what I meant earlier about Washington, D.C., the Congress. 85% of them people don't think either.
I don't necessarily.
You saying the 85% of the people in D.C. don't think?
No.
Okay.
I disagree completely.
America is essentially the movie Don't Look Up at this particular point politically.
Okay. What is that? How does that stop other groups of businessmen, industrialists, let's just say social engineers, so to speak? How does that stop them from making money?
It does. What I'm saying, okay.
You say that again?
It doesn't stop them from making money because
okay, and then since it doesn't stop them from making money, what do they then in turn do with the money that they make?
They invest in ways to get rid of using people to pay.
So what you're saying is that they go about doing things regardless, right, to protect their interests, basically, in a nutshell. In a nutshell?
So LAR, you basically saying that we shouldn't care? LAR. So basically, I'm not putting words in your
I'm
mouth.
saying if we're gonna deal in the red pill, even with politically, we got to deal with the reality. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, yeah, you guys got a point, but the vast majority of the country is not on that point.
The vast majority of the country, LAR, doesn't care about black men.
Right.
Well, okay, the vast majority of the country doesn't care about black men. Okay, so why are we then considering the concerns of the vast majority of the country? When are we going to be selfish as black men? That's my question to you.
Who said we need to be concerned about the country, so we need to do to the country what is done?
No, I said, when are we going to be selfish? Not concerned. I said selfish.
That's my point.
This
is the time to stop worrying about everybody else because they're stupid and they like doing stupid stuff.
Well, no, you literally just said, well, there's these people, and I'm like, who cares?
So here, let me say this: when you say stupid stuff, so one reason why I'm looking
to do it this way. Let me hold on. Just let me do it this way. Sports reference is football season. If you're playing a team and you find out that 8 out of 10 of their players are idiots, don't you want to take advantage of that if you're playing against them? That's what everybody has done.
Say that again.
Yeah, no. He's basically saying if the team is dumb, don't you want to take advantage of their ignorance?
I mean, we may differ in terms of strategies with regards to that, but I'm more or less speaking to the adaptation or adopting the mindset of black men being a political constituency. I'm talking about strictly as that demographic. So with that regard, if you're talking about approaching things from a demographic standpoint or a constituency standpoint, and that constituency primarily just consists of black men, okay, hetero, by the way, then yeah, I think the conversation has to pivot and change. I don't think we need to get concerned ourselves about the 85% of people who either are not considering what is in our best interest, or if they have the capacity or the ability to do so. I think their opinions and what they think are irrelevant.
Yeah, I think what Complex is more or less getting at, the top 15% of other groups, they just do what they do. They move and shake shit and
pretty much
shit happen. Yep. And other people within their group will get whatever trickles down from it. Maybe a job, maybe a job at a company that they've, built or whatever.
I think Hood Service said it brilliantly last week when he was talking about when you guys were discussing. He was talking about the apathy and how people say, "Well, forget it. I'm not going to vote. It's no interest of me or whatever." And he's like, "That works great for me because by you not voting, it makes the people who are voting interest stand out." I want to talk about something in particular. Right now, I believe. I don't know if I should say these things. I was going to talk about the pandemic. And here, I don't want to get your channel struck, so I'll just move on from that.
Yeah, that's kind of yeah.
You okay, Bernie?
Yeah, no, I was choking on some water.
Yeah, man, I was over here like, man, you all right, man?
Yeah, I was choking. I should have cut the camera off, but no, I'm good. What were you about to say? What were you about to say about the pandemic?
Well, simply put,
without,
I personally think that I'll call his name. I think that Fauci knew about the lab link. There's been emails that are heavily redacted right now that are protecting that. And you have, because the Democrat has the House right now, they can't get some of these things unredacted to uncover this. But Senator Hawley and of course Rand Paul, they basically said when we get this, we're gonna come at you, and we're gonna also see that you've been getting incentivized by these prescription companies, these big pharma, the Pfizer's, Moderna's, and all those things. So I would definitely love for that to be revealed to, for the people, and for those who aren't interested, so be it. I'm definitely.
Well, no, Sir Tice, it's very concerning about what you're saying.
Go ahead.
So I think it was like maybe 2 days ago, Bill Gates came out, right? And he basically predicted that the midterms, and I'm gonna choose my words. The midterms will create a situation where we'll have a civil divorce. If you catch my drift.
He predicted a civil war.
Yeah, civil divorce. Don't say the word.
Yeah.
Okay?
My bad.
Yeah, don't say the word. And so the reason why has a lot to do with the fact that if that impending red wave literally does happen, do you realize how many investigations are going to open up?
Bingo. Well, you mean Bill Depopulation Gates? You're smart enough. You know what that reference is. You know how he's been talking about that through the years and why he's been.
Well, Hawley and all these guys are already telling these dudes, you guys got blood on your hands. You're responsible for thousands. Let me step out of there.
Dane C in the building with the $5. Hold on, LAR. Dane C in the building with the $5. Excuse me. Dane C in the building with the $5 super chat says, as it relates to batteries, super ultra capacitors, is the future of power storage. Batteries still have to issue long recharging time. I think he's asking about the charge time for.
Yeah, I mean, here's
that's
the thing,
LA
man.
thing. I live in Michigan. We don't got too.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're talking. Basically, what he's referencing is that things like capacitors, like large storage, like what they call Tesla makes them. Power walls, right? Mm-hmm. So right now they're using the new standard cell, largely that's being used even for like e-bikes and e-scooters, is a 21700 size cell, right? It used to be an 18650, and the only thing it means is that the 21700 is 30 millimeters in diameter bigger, but it also can pack 1/3 more, so it's slightly bigger, but it can pack 1/3 more of the power density of an 18650. So what you have is you have industrial scaling, right? What you're not going to do is have they're not going to just jump, right, to capacitors, graphene batteries, and stuff like that. That's not to say that things like graphene batteries and stuff like that do not have an application. They're already starting to use those in things like pacemakers, right? Because they hold a way longer charge, and there's not like a radiation element like with lithium ion. So you have a pacemaker in your heart, but then there's a battery that has lithium in it, right? So there is a radiation aspect to it. You have a lot of women right now that are coming down with like ovarian cysts and stuff like that because they use a lot of sex toys that have lithium ion batteries. Look that up.
That's insane.
Wow.
So you're going to blame that on the Energizer Bunny, huh?
Oh, shit.
They getting STIs from sex toys. They got burned by a dildo. Okay.
Oh,
God damn. JC the Conqueror in the building says if we could get rid of term limits, that would help.
he's right, but who do you think that benefits, or who supports that more? Like, you have people like Maxine Waters. She's been in office for what, literally 30 years, and her district still looks like it looks.
Your current president has been in office for 40 years.
You're right about that. How can I forget him?
Congressman Chris in the building says first thing America did when it became independent was get in debt. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Somebody had to finance the war.
Yeah. Theo in the building says 2023 I will be in Rio. Who cares about divorce? Shout out to Theo. Shout out to Theo.
What up, Theo?
Yeah. Oh wow. Let me do this real quick. Oh no, LAR. Wait one quick second. Been meaning to read this. For those of you in the Detroit area, come hang out. Says hang out with Bernard Riley and a few fellow Black Manosphere bros at Barcade in Detroit for games and drinks October 17th, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. No cover charge or fees. More info at Evite. Drop that again, actually. One of the moderators who got that, drop that again so people in the Detroit area, if they're interested, they can click the Evite. They can click on that Evite link if they're interested. But all right, go ahead, LAR. And by the way, we did it. Hold on, we did that. Hold on, real quick. We did that last month. About 10 guys got together and hung out there. That's a picture. Yeah. A lot of IT and tech guys. I think half the guys was married. So no, there was no incels or bums, homosexual, dusties, whatever the hell we are. I don't know, but there was none of that there. Bunch of good productive brothers got together, and so yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Was the other cities supposed to be doing this? Come on, man, Detroit kicking y'all ass.
Oh man, but go ahead, LAR. LAR, you was trying to say something, right?
When y'all, when y'all just referenced the red tsunami, y'all weren't saying that this civil divorce was gonna come from the blue side, right?
He's talking about a civil divorce and what Bill Gates was saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if it's a red tsunami, who's gonna start this divorce? Is it gonna be the blue side or the red?
No, in a nutshell, what's being said here is that both sides are going to claim the integrity of the elections have been compromised, right? And because we kind of saw this with the last major election, right? And there was a whole January 6th, blah, skippy, something rather, right? So this time around, it's being said that, there's going to be questions of, votes being compromised and all that, but it's going to get violent this time. So I don't like to verbally say this type of stuff, but this is Bill Gates saying this openly a couple days ago.
Does Bill Gates strike you as an AK toting person?
No, he strikes me as a person who probably knows things that your average person doesn't.
Mm-hmm. So where did he say it's coming from? The red side or the blue side?
Well, I think
he said both. Like what he's saying is that both sides are going to be questioned. Like, here's the thing, right? Just let it play out, but just know that somebody in the know said something about it.
Let me add some. This is very brief, LAR. Keep you on thought. I think when he says culture divorce, if you will, or civil divorce, he's talking about from a social standpoint. It's not going to be, bayonets and muskets and all that. He's talking about in a sense of, okay, we're in control of the institutions. If you have this ideology, we're not going to admit you, or we're going to look over your Facebook post or whatever, your Facebook or your social media posts, and use our credit scoring or social credit scoring system and ostracize you out of these things. That's what I at least interpret.
No, you know what, Sir Tice, honestly, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to have to drop off. I got to go run my daughter's lunch at school. I honestly do believe if you go and look at a lot of the unrest that's going on in a lot of countries in the world, that there's largely a media blackout on, and I understand why, because the United States has its own bag of shit going on right now, right? You just had this hurricane, and they're covering up how bad it was over there. I don't know if you guys heard this, dude. They're talking about hundreds of deaths. You guys hear this?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the death toll. I just know I saw
No, that's what I'm saying. There isn't one because it's kind of like Katrina.
Yeah.
Right? Where they don't even have a count yet. But
yeah,
yesterday they said hundreds.
I saw an alligator swimming in somebody's living room.
I saw a shark in the street.
Yeah.
Since I live here, we see that. I don't want to say all the time, but
no. You probably see an alligator up on somebody's yard.
Shark, bro. A shark in the street.
You don't see an alligator. Notice I said swimming in somebody's living room. Okay.
Not walking.
It wasn't like he walked in because they left the back door open. No, he was swimming.
He was swimming.
Living room. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a whole thing about that right now, and they're not really talking about how much of a disaster that actually is right about now, right? So there's a lot of like cover stories going on, but then you have like this whole uprising in Iran, for example. And this kind of like more or less points to maybe something that we will see something along these lines, where there's this woman, she decided she didn't want to rock her hijab, right? So the what they call the morality police pulled up on her, okay? And between the time they pulled up on her, apprehended her, and then took her to like these places where they like it's almost like going to jail, but then you don't go to jail, and they spend an hour telling you what you did bad, and then they send you off, right?
Okay.
She went into this place and then basically died. So now the family's like, okay, well, the police picked her up and killed her because she wouldn't obey orders to put her hijab on, right? So now you have this whole entire protest going on in Iran right now, where women are like taking their hijabs off, setting them on fire, and cutting their hair. Okay. So we're talking about this type of civil divorce, so to speak. And I keep using the word divorce because I don't want to use the 3-letter word that's spelled WAR. But when Bill Gates kind of just says, "Hey, yeah, that's going to happen,"
I know you got.
I'm gonna kind of like
tie that into what I was saying about the social credit system, and it won't be a physical war; it'll be a social war. Where you're going to go elaborate on that?
Well, I was going to say, because all of this stuff serves as the pretext to roll all of these new type of social systems out, right? I mean, we already saw it like pre-pandemic. We saw it, right? And there's things now that we do that are commonplace that we ain't even thinking about consciously anymore, right? That we weren't doing pre-pandemic. Okay, so it's a slow conditioning to this new environment and this new way of living, but you also have to kind of shake shit up too, right? So that's why I'm kind of framing what's going on in all of these various Western nations, where the people are largely against the lawmakers. Okay, and I'm just saying that, according to Bill Gates, man, we might be looking at something like this next month. But I don't want to scare folks, man. Just be cognizant, man. Be conscious. Yeah, but y'all, I got to dip out.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Complex.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
The way it was being framed was like it's going to be on Instagram, either going to be in the streets or on Instagram. And I'm just saying, on the blue side, people on the red side ain't scared of people on the blue side. Because if they got the House, if they got the House, the Senate, and they wind up getting the White House, them doing whatever they want to do, that's just going to be what it is. I don't think that BLM and the rainbow community is going to be storming the Capitol with fun clothes on. Maybe I'm tripping, but and old white people that smoke weed, I don't believe it.
No, that's not. Just real quick, LAR. That's not what it is. What it is like it was something that Sir Tyson and I touched on before. If you have a red swing and everything goes swimmingly. Let's just say, for example, do you have a whole bunch of Republicans that get voted into the House and the Senate, right? The first thing they're going to do, and they've already said this, the first thing they're going to do is open up investigations on anything that was pandemic related, right? That largely went against constitutional law. They already said that they were. And there's a lot of people that are in positions of government right about now that do not want that. And all you have to do is watch the Senate hearings on C-SPAN. Sir Tice was mentioning Senator Hawley, Ted Cruz, a few of them. They be grilling the shit out of these people, and the shit's on the record. And they be letting them know, like, hey, look, when we have the ability to do something for you. They've been saying it. So with that, I got to bounce, y'all. I got to go. Peace.
All right, Complex.
All right. Peace, peace.
I get it. I get what you're saying. That's just going to be a Brett Favre investigation. That's it. Because it's Republicans that's involved in that too. If they're going to investigate somebody, they got to do it to everybody. If they investigate people, they just going to all be blue. They're going to let everybody red go home like Brett Favre right now.
Well, no, there's rhino Republicans like Liz Cheney or whatever, who's definitely in on it. No one said they're not free on it, so I get you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm busy trying to find the picture of the alligator and swimming in the living room.
You're still stuck on
That's
that,
Florida,
man.
ain't it?
No, I saw it this morning.
That's
I
Florida.
literally saw it this morning. Like the living room was flooded, and the alligator was in there just peacefully swimming, like like he lived there. It's like I guess I'll move in. I'm trying to find that shit. It was funny as hell. But
Man,
all right, Black Wizard
they done had
apparently
about
dropped
20.
down. Huh?
It's Florida. We didn't see Florida get destroyed at least 5 times in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'll
Nothing.
never live in Florida. I'll visit, but
Well, hold on. As someone who loves it here, okay, you got, I would say every 10 years, Tampa, Orlando, or down here in South Florida is due for one, right? It's just a normal part of things. This one missed us, but it hit more up north. I'll admit these pictures are funny. What's emerging though?
All right, James Wingate in the building. He says red pill is not one race. It is straightforward solutions that scares liberals, feminists, and Black people because it eliminates playing in gray areas. More people are red pill. They just call it something else. Interesting point there. Thank you for the super chat.
Let me ask a random question. So I would love to see. I'll let you read that one first.
Who was
Sinister voices.
Sinister. Okay, I couldn't tell that was saying okay, sinister voices. All right, good. He says nobody's scared of the left. If they respond, it'll be through social engineering as usual. I vote with my wallet, red tsunami time. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Do appreciate that.
I'm a bounce. I gotta take care of this dog. I'm sorry.
All right. Oh yeah, go ahead. Do your thing. Do you gotta take care of your little poodle? Okay.
What I was gonna ask was I would love to hear the audience and the audience and the brothers on the panel. I think it's Black Wizards that's left. Do you all think that let's just say that this red wave happens. Do you think that they're going to break up the social media companies? In other words, split them apart like they did Ma Bell? Facebook and Google's too big right now because and I say that because of a lot of the censoring that has been gone and right. Do you think that they're going to go that direction?
I think they're worse if they break them up. If they're consistent, they would want to keep it, but just get rid of the censoring of it. If you understand what I'm saying.
I'll hear Black Wizard.
Black Wizard, are you there? You muted.
I am.
Okay, go ahead. Did you get the question?
Do I think if the red wave comes, that they'll break up the social media companies?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they will either.
And I don't think so because Like, one, I've been talking a lot about the left in the beginning and what I noticed about them, but what I noticed about the right is it's a lot of talking, but like real big stuff doesn't really get affected. They seem to be more complicit. Like, it seems to be like the right more keeps capitulating to the left very gradually. So, like, for instance, there was the whole, women and representation thing that came out around 2014, right? It was like, oh, we need more women in places of power, all that stuff. The right originally was like, y'all are talking about a bunch of nonsense. And then eventually they started using the same words that the left was using about representation of women on their side as well. And that's something I noticed that the right keeps doing. Like they will say something like they're against it for a while, and then things just keep sliding through that keep sliding us further in a direction. And then they will capitulate just gradually to that side and act like they're still, coming with the same conservative values that they always have. But
Yep.
if you look at the right now, they're actually more liberal than the left is.
You're actually right. Let me be clear. When I say
give you
break them
that.
up, hold a second. Let me be clear on this. When I say break them up, I don't mean that Facebook, you're going away, Google, you're going away. I mean literally, like I said, like they did with Ma Bell, they split them up into different entities. So, for example, with Facebook, they have their little cryptocurrency, or they have their little currency system. They have their messaging system. They have their post system, and make those as independent entities versus just being this one huge conglomerate. That's what I mean.
Yeah, they're not
I
doing
know.
that.
And
They're
I
not
don't think that's
doing that.
happening. That's
'Cause
not
the
happening.
Yeah, they're not doing that. That's not happening at all. In fact, I would argue anybody even thinks that's happening, that's in delusional land or wishful thinking land. It's not digital
Right.
companies. Like, there's companies far larger than Facebook. Like, if they're not doing that to Amazon, they're damn sure not doing that to Facebook.
So
And Alibaba is actually larger than Amazon as far as globally. What they may do is they may threaten to do something like that, even though they won't, because on the low, and this is the furthest it'll go, because on the low they want the digital companies to do kind of like what the oil companies do, which is grease both pots, saying you can't just keep giving the Dems money to power their shit, even though they took out the unions. Y'all gonna have to start throwing something our way, otherwise we're gonna regulate the shit out of you. That's what they'll do. They'll start regulating and then not call it regulations. That's what they'll do. But they're not gonna be able to break those companies. They're not.
Yeah, and another thing to think about with that is those very large companies are one, they I guess with what Complex was talking about before in the globalist agenda, one, they're very globalist, but they're still based here. So they contribute to the United States GDP at a very large level.
To
And
crack.
two,
Oh, go
and
ahead.
two, the China is moving into a position where they could usurp the power of the United States. So even though, there's an argument that you can make that breaking these companies up will cause more competition, that competition could destabilize the wealth of the United States in a way that makes the United States fall back even further than we're already sliding. So they want the large super international corporations to continue to exist, to continue to bring in profit to the United States. They just want them to do what the United States wants them to do. So I don't think they'll break them up, because it'd be too much of a threat to an already
They didn't even ban
weakening
TikTok.
dollar.
Well, hold on a second. They did. Okay, and what they did was when they brought TikTok over, they basically said that they have to divulge these type of papers and such. That's what they initially did. But it was something that I'll let you go ahead in a second. But it was something that Black Wizard just said. I don't think that they'll break them up, but what I do think that they will do is, I don't know what the name of that what the name of that legal statute is. Maybe one of you brothers in the chat may know. But it's the legal standard where they act as not a publisher, where they basically say, hey, we're absolved of what people post or whatever. So,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, say that.
I mean, yeah, that's what they do.
Okay, so
It's how they avoid getting sued.
exactly right. So, yeah, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So what they're going to probably do is say, no, you guys, in fact, are a publisher. In fact, here's all the censorship that you did. You know, they'll point to the Hunter Biden laptop and all that stuff. You know, so I definitely think they will declare them as publishers. I gotta look at what that's called. But go ahead.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but like the thing about it is that's one thing that when I start getting on people's nerves. There's a difference between what people want the fuck to happen and what's gonna happen. And just like with sports, there's this. I want my team to win because I'm a Chicagoan. But there's a difference between me wanting my team. I'm sure New York Knicks want their team to get to the championship every year. But when people start arguing with me like it's likely to happen, and because it's a bias there, that's when I start kind of jumping shit. And I get arguments with Republicans and Democrats. I always be going at Mike V. You know, for a lot of the same reasons people think I go with Republicans, because it's like what people think of what they want to happen. The reality is, the Republican Party is not strong. If these companies concentrate, they concentrate their efforts, just like how they're not strong enough to fuck with oil. Because remember, when the oil companies got broken up, that was a unified, bipartisan thing. The American one party cannot dictate something like that. They can do that with one company. They cannot dictate that towards an whole industry alone. It takes both. And the will of the people have to be strong enough to enforce that both. So the political situation. So the Republicans are not. I told you what's most likely going to happen. The Republicans, if they get in there, they'll say, "Look, on behind the scenes, you're gonna have to start greasing everybody. Y'all are big enough where y'all got the money. Otherwise, we gonna regulate." And I can tell you right now, even that what you just said, they not gonna do that, because if they do that, every Republican politician does that, their career's over. Because they will concentrate money, not to necessarily get the Democrats in. They'll primary them, and Republicans are very vulnerable to certain types of propaganda when it comes to primarying, because all you got to do is get just one more conservative in there, and then they just happen to be on your side with your thing. So they're actually more vulnerable to that than actually Democrats actually. So they won't. They're not. And you got to remember too, the tech company, the social media companies, they have more investments and more money in stuff other than just those companies, because it produces so much money. And also they have accounted for stuff like that, so they have certain advocacies to shut any of that down before it ever happens. I mean, let's be real. Republicans haven't had the hardest of time getting in office since like social media came of age. In fact, most of your internet marketers are actually conservative. So when Obama kind of caught everybody, with their pants down, that actually put a lot of money in a lot of these internet marketers who based in Texas, like a lot of the stronger ones, pockets. And then they got into political marketing because the Republicans saw a need for it. And Republicans haven't had a hard time getting in office. So they really don't have the extreme need to do that. They really don't. It'd be different if they were constantly losing, but they're not. So, yeah, they're not. I mean, if people want to believe that's going to happen, that's cool, but that's not going to happen. That's not even what I want to talk about, but I'll
Yeah.
let y'all get y'all.
Go. Yeah. No, but go. Well, I guess go ahead and respond to that, Sir Tyson. I'll go to Ed for whatever prompted Ed to come up, and then we'll probably wrap it up, a little after that. But go ahead, Sir Tyson.
Okay, first of all, thanks, Jackie Jack. It's to Section 230, but I didn't just make this up. This is what they're talking about. But when you said about Ed, that they would need the Democrats, that's the whole point of them getting the majority. They won't need the Democrats to do that stuff. And they have literally, if you literally Google or DuckDuckGo, I would prefer you to go to, breaking up social media companies, you'll see plenty of things written on this, so, but go ahead and mention what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, okay. I mean, yeah. I've kind of got, yeah. All right. So as far as what I was initially coming up here for, one of the things that really annoy me about these things is I'm not really about the rah-rah shit. Like, I'm not about the pom-pomming for the Republicans or the Democratic Party. And I think black men got to get out of that. People can have their party. People can have what they believe. Like even like a lot of stuff that Complex was talking about, I agree with. There's nuance to stuff. And I think what happens is things get too First thing, another thing I don't like too is I don't like people voting for a party because of what another party's doing. Like I can't stand the Democrats black people have allowed Democrats to say that about Republicans. And it seems like the main arguments Republicans make is look at what the Democrats are doing. Like even in the arguments that I've seen, not just here but in other places, not on this show in particular, but just in general,
Well,
it's
no,
always well, look at what they're doing.
that legit kind of happens over here, where it's a vote against the Democrats. So yeah, I
Well,
mean,
yeah, well, it
I
happens both
understand what you're
ways.
saying. I understand what you're saying.
And I don't know if it was Black Wizard that said this, but BGS has been saying that in a lot of ways the Republicans, like if you actually understand what conservative and liberal conservative as far as more authority minded, which there's a lot of black men that are, versus liberalism, like the Republicans in that way are not. If you act, and the best way I always tell black people to look at it is compare us compared to like other people that claim to be like Republican, like for instance the Tories in the UK, or what they're different. If you understand what it is, they're different. And yeah, most of the shit that the left talks about I don't agree with at this point. Like I don't even really call that the left. That's really something else at this point, especially with that that video uploaded where you got that trans person basically trying to trick people. I mean, the fact that that's even in the conversation of something that's happening at this point, this is mental illness. I'm not even dignifying that with actual logic, because anyway, my point is that black men agree on certain points outside of quote unquote Republican and Democrat. It's about how to go about it that where you start seeing the bullshit. So as far as like Dr. Tiesan Johnson's like talking points, like this is how I'm gonna say this and I'll be done. Black men need to have the mentality, and most of you niggas don't believe this. The conservatives tend to have a better idea with this than a lot of the dudes that are liberal minded. And that's the problem, that it shouldn't be this hard. Most black men don't believe what's good for black men. Black men are the community. What's good for black men is good for the community. And chances are what black women tend to advocate for is what's bad for the community. And I'm talking about the children. Like if you do 10 points and you look at what black women advocate for and you look at what black men advocate for, black men are still quote unquote advocating for a community. Even the niggas at SYSBM are still advocating for basic things like family and stuff, that if two black people put that together, well, you get it. It's the women advocating for some other shit as if they're another fucking race. The Republicans, the dudes that advocate for the Republicans tend to have an easier time understanding that than the liberals.
That is true.
You just said if you've been listening it out, I don't think that you would have any overlap whatsoever.
Maybe 2 points, but other than that, for the most part, you're right. No.
Yeah, I've said it for a while that politically speaking, or definitely economically speaking, if you help black men, or if black men come up or benefit in some way, black women and black children will end up doing better or benefiting from that. But if black women get politically and even economically what they want, the community gonna stay looking exactly the same because black men and black women still gonna be separate at the same rate, or if not a higher rate, which means so yeah, black men getting what they want is beneficial for everybody. Black women getting what they want, that's it's beneficial.
Yeah, so
really only for them. And when I damn near had to quit saying that, because then I ain't gonna even say why.
Well, the thing is, that's why real talk. Even if I was being, if you're somebody that you advocate for the Republican side, I'm like, you talking about policy, chances are you're gonna win. If you talk about people voting on policy and politicians that fit certain policies, then chances are you're gonna win. Like when you look at the Stacey Abrams situation, like dudes are really saying what policy benefits us at all. I mean, give us one thing, give us something you're thinking about, and she can do it. Now, you can have that argument without saying, oh, man, I'm voting for this because all the other stuff the Democrats have done. That shit is obvious at this point. If you focus on the policies, as long as they don't talk about the policies, then they're screwed. Now, if they start talking and start executing on the policies, okay, now we have something to argue about. Now, are there some policies, some people have pointed out that some Democrats somewhere have done every once in a while? Sure. And black men have to be better about extracting those policies to benefit us. But for the most part, what you really see, and even BGS has talked about this, the women are in charge. The women, black women control the political landscape in the black community, period. That is not, and because they're in charge, it is their responsibility. Now it's their burden to get for black men. It ain't no more black men just need to vote for your ass. And fuck the governorship. You're talking about the cities. Most black women run most of these major cities now that black men used to run. And pick a city. Just to the point now, it's a lot of black women starting to be police commissioner. So at this point, it's like, okay, with this power that you couldn't have got without black men putting you in there, regardless how goofy them niggas are, what are you doing? What have you done? Well, no, you don't get to be a woman now. You are this mayor. So I'm talking to you as a mayor, not as a female. And there's some things I like that rap shit, using them lyrics to lock them niggas up. I'm not against that because it sends a message. So there's some things I can say I like, but that's one end of that's a few. So my point is, if you don't have nothing to say, you don't need to be there. And saying the Republicans are racist, that's the first thing that tells me you're not doing shit. Because if you had something, you would promote it. And so I've always told dudes that want to palm for the Republican side, look, all y'all got to do is talk about the policy and lack thereof and say black men vote on the policy. Because if you do that, you'll get a lot more dudes, like them dudes that don't want to vote. You'll get a lot more dudes that chances are vote on your side. And I am, even though I kind of, I'm not completely against, even though I said I don't like people arguing, vote for this person against this person. I'm not completely against punishing a party that people have traditionally supported for not, for taking your shit for granted. Because sometimes you need to send a message as well. And although I'm not completely against doing a vote of no confidence, which is not voting, I think for black men, because black men traditionally have an issue with not voting, a message is going to be more louder if you start blocking these people from getting in. Well, they're racist. Well, at this point, racism is preferable to you, to me having to figure out whether a bitch is actually a bitch. I'd rather deal with the sundown. I'd rather deal with the places that are sundown towns that I know to drive around. That's literally how fucking off the goddamn chain y'all have gotten. Because understand, y'all can talk about racism, and I believe racism exists. We've had this conversation, Bernard. But understand, black men got to deal with that bitch. We got to deal with that bitch every day. That white man we only got to deal with every once in a while. That bitch, and then her attitude, her mouth, her talk about aborting black male babies, that's some shit we deal with on a daily basis. So, I mean, it's to the point where you can't even, like, once people start talking about abort black male babies, okay, I can't tell the difference anymore. So when you get to that point, then why not vote what's in your best interest as far as your wallet? So even the argument of the Republicans are racist, I say it just like I say with Passport Bros, as of compared to who? The Democrats? So what they do isn't racism. No, what they do, anyway. It's just, again, we need to start advocating for policies to benefit black men, because what benefits black men benefits the black community. And I dare somebody to challenge me on that. I dare somebody to point to me any one policy that Dr. T.S. Johnson, shout out to the Great Faulkner Initiative, that anybody that benefits black men, that actually benefits black men at the expense of black women or black children. I challenge somebody to find me one policy that does that, and you will not. Yeah, Raleigh does have a black female. We've had a white woman for the longest time.
Does it make a difference? No, I'm not being a smart ass. Did it really make a difference or no?
Well, in Raleigh, no. Durham, yes, because the issue with Durham is they have a lack of police officers, and they'll train the police officers, and what the police officers will do, and the black ones will do this too, is they'll get poached by the other towns because they pay more, and their pay more is less crime, and they get more benefits. So why wouldn't you leave? So that's Durham's problem. But anyway, it's not an issue in Raleigh, because Raleigh don't play that shit with these niggas and with people in crime.
Mm-hmm.
Raleigh don't play that. Traditionally has not played that shit.
Bernie,
Remember,
get out of
hold on,
here.
Bruno. I'm gonna say this one thing. I say, remember, Cary is like considered the safest city in the United States of America, and Cary is a suburb of Raleigh. And multiple papers have said that over the courses of years. So yeah, they don't play that shit out here. I'm done.
All right. We are about to get the hell up out of here. I'm about to get the hell up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody for being in attendance today. Shout out to Black Wizard. Do appreciate you coming through. Hadn't been up in a while. Sir Tice, Ed. I forgot who else. LAR. Complex Design. That's what I'm trying to remember. Complex Design.
Beef.
Do appreciate all of y'all. Yeah, I know. And everybody who liked, share, subscribe, did anything to participate in any way, shape, or form. Do appreciate each and every one of you. And trying to remember something. Oh yeah. This is what I want y'all to do, because I ain't done this in a while. Hold on. If you haven't seen my video called The Unhostile Takeover of ESPN, go and watch that right now. I'm trying to drop that in the chat room before we get out of here. Go and watch that right now. Let that be your way out the door. Don't just click off the video. Go click on that and go watch that. Check that one out. Help get that one even more in the algorithm. It's still hitting hard. It's still in the algorithm. It's been up going on 24 hours. Yeah, over 24 hours, and it's still getting views. So go ahead and help that one get some more views. I appreciate it. But everybody who participated today in any way, shape, or form, thank you very much. I appreciate you. We are out of here.
Nice.
We gone.